the Jets, and you're in the offensive unit, but that defense has got to stop them. Now, they had a test against the Redskins, and I thought the defensive unit for the Jets played well in that game, but again, the final score is the only thing that is important, and today they've got to stop Zonka and Kick and also Mercury Morris.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Sam. Defense has definitely got his work cut out for him this afternoon. However, I felt this way all along this season, that our defense would eventually become a very good defense, and I think that they have, and I think they will rise to meet the challenge today.
How about this 53 defense that we've been reading a great deal about? Bob Matheson, who plays defensive end for the Dolphins, wears number 53. What is it exactly?
Well, he's actually, I think he's played linebacker before this, and he's big enough that now they've got him at defensive end. So really what they're trying to do is they've got three other down linemen who've never played, let's say, a linebacking position. And with Matheson there, why, it gives you another down lineman with a little bit more mobility than, say, somebody else that will be his substitute that plays strictly in the defensive line.
Because they may be going today without Paul Warfield.
Right, and that's no doubt going to help us a little bit maybe, but at the same time, you know, this is the NFL, and every man that they put out there on that field, I'm sure every coach would like to have his number ones, but I've seen a lot of number twos do a mighty fine job.
Well, they've got a number 2 quarterback also, and I see Al Atkinson limping just ever so slightly, and Larry Grantham probably won't play today.
Yeah, that's going to, you know, take away from us, you know, a little bit, but as I said before, I think that we've got 40 players on our team just as they have on theirs, and all 40 are capable of playing, or they'd be somewhere else.
Okay, John, good luck today.
Thank you.
Our guest receives the new Schick Fleximatic 400 for a closer electric shave, more comfortable because of the extra thin, flexible head. It's the shaver that makes the wet shave a thing of the past. This is Sam Deluca. I'll have some comments and more pregame highlights in just 60 seconds.
And as John Riggins pointed out during the interview, it's really senseless or not fair to compare him to Larry Zonka based on today's performance. Yardage is really meaningless, as John Riggins said. The back that plays for the winning team today probably will have more yardage. And like everyone else on a football team, the running back is dependent on the people around him. He's dependent on the defense to get him the football, to get the offense the football. He's dependent on his offensive line to block for him. He's dependent on the quarterback to pass effectively and keep the defense loose so he can run with the football. He's dependent on the other backs around him. They have to block for him. So we may not be able to compare Larry Zonka and John Riggins based on today's performance, and I don't think it's fair anyway. Zonka has been around for 5 years. John Riggins is now only in his second year, but I will say this, I think that Riggins has more potential. He's a faster back, and someday probably will be the finest fullback in the game. This is Sam Deluca. In just 60 seconds, I'll be back with Merle Harmon for the Jets-Dolphins game.
The Jets will be receiving this afternoon, so let's look at that no-name defense for the Miami Dolphins. The front four will be Fern Denherder, a second-year man from Central Iowa. Manny Fernandez at left tackle. Bob Heinz will be at right tackle, as Jim Dunaway is still out after undergoing surgery for a herniated disc. He is expected back December 3rd for the game. Bill Stanfield, the former Georgia All-American, will be the defensive right end. The linebacking corps, Doug Swift, Nick Bonaconti, and Mike Colin. 3 veterans with Bonaconti as the elder statesman of the group. Tim Foley and Curtis Johnson will be the cornerback, and the deep backs will be Dick Anderson and Jake Scott. We'll give you the Jets offensive lineup in just a moment, but first, the invocation, which is customary here at all Dolphin games in Miami. And Father, let's see, Monsignor Enright, I believe, is going to give the invocation, which will be followed by the national anthem.
In the name of the Father, of the Son, great Father, of the fellowship of the Holy Spirit, God, our Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on all of our here present today. We ask your special blessing for all members of the team and players. Give them courage, strength, and stamina to play the game without harm or injury. These blessings We ask of you through Christ our Lord. Amen.
As our Pledge of Allegiance and National Anthem are presented by Mr. Napoleon Reed and the Archbishop Shirley High School Choral Group. The singing of the Pledge of Allegiance here in Miami and our national anthem. Has jammed the Orange Bowl in Miami on a beautiful afternoon. It's 79 degrees in Miami. We have a very slight wind of 9 miles an hour, I believe it is, out of the northeast. The humidity is 67%. And certainly we are correct in saying it's a 9-mile-an-hour wind. But, Sam, this is the first time that I can remember sitting up here in this magnificent press box with a nice big post in front of us. And not having the wind slapping me in the face. So the wind does not look like will be a factor today.
No, and I don't think that the temperature is going to be a factor either. It's been relatively cool here in Miami the last few days, and I think that it's a pleasant day for football. The sun, it's overcast. The sun isn't shining brightly, and I don't think heat will be a factor. Of course, if it does get hot, it's likely to bother the Jets more than the Dolphins, because the Dolphins do have an opportunity to work in Miami under the extreme heat year-round.
Hank Bajorklin and Phil Wise are back deep for the New York Jets as Garo Yepremian gets ready to kick off for the Miami Dolphins. By the way, Gus Sullivan was telling us there's a good grip to it. Here is Yepremian's kickoff going back into the end zone, deep and out of the end zone. The Jets will play the ball in their own 20. So the Jet offensive unit comes on the field for the first time this afternoon, led by Joe Namath. And the wide receivers will be Eddie Bell and Don Maynard. The tight end, Rich Castor. The tackles, Bob Sweet and Winston Hill. The guards, Randy Rasmussen and Dave Harmon. John Smith will be at center. And the running backs will be Emerson and Boozer and John Riggins. And already this Miami crowd is starting to chant, defense, defense, defense. They love the no-name defense here in Miami. Fell to the left, Maynard right, first play of the ball game. From scrimmage. The running back split wide. John Schmidt over the ball. The Jets go set. Namath hands off to Boozer. Boozer behind Harmon. Gets a yard or so. Flag goes down as Boozer is knocked down to the 22 by Curtis Johnson, one of the cornerbacks. So, first play of the game and a flag. Holding against New York. There's the call. That'll be a half the distance penalty.
Merle, there's really no excuse for a holding penalty on a running play. Occasionally, because all offensive linemen do use their hands to pass protect. The trend today is toward the defensive lineman who uses his hands, tries to pull and tug, get the offensive lineman off balance. Therefore, he's got to use his hands when he's pass blocking. But there should never be a reason for holding on a running play.
All right, Denherter, Fernandez, Hines, and Stanfield are up front, and Manny Fernandez, sure enough, is in that lineup. The Jets with a first down and 20 on their own 10-yard line. The half the distance penalty from the 20 sets them back 10. John Schmidt goes down over the ball. Eddie Bell is wide to the left, wide to the right is Don Maynard. The cornerbacks are laying off. They are not playing up at the line of scrimmage to go bump and run. Jet running backs are in tight. Namath calls the play, hands off to Riggins. Riggins hits the right side on a slant, runs into Burns Denherter. The big left end. He knocks him down after maybe a yard picked up. And it'll be third down for New York and 19. And coming into the ball game is Bob Matheson, and here comes the 53 defense for Miami. And where did they get the name of the 53 defense? Flag on the last play, by the way. 5 yards against the Dolphins, takes the ball out to the 15 and keeps the down the same. First down and 15 now. Anyway, the 53 defense is named after number 53, Bob Matheson. Now, he would be a fourth linebacker.
He's got good size. He's big enough really to play defensive end, maybe a little light for defensive end, but they keep him in a standing position, in the position the defensive end would ordinarily play.
Wide to the left, wide to the right, Don Maynard. First down and 15 is the call. Namath on the draw to Boozer. Boozer, no hole, tries to get to the outside, runs into Bill Stanton for no gain. And the Miami defense is really tough in this first series against the Jet running game. Now will be second down, 16 on the 15-yard line off the New York Jets.
Jets had long yardage, Merle, for a first down. I guess it was about 14 yards. But I think that Namath is trying to establish that running game, and that's the reason for running the football.
All right, let's see. I believe Heinz is out of there now, and they have three rushers. Denherter, Fernandez, and Stanfield with four linebackers. Doug Swift comes up on the corner now on the left side. Wide to the left is Eddie Bell. Wide to the right, Don Maynard. Second down, 15. Back to pass, Joe Namath for the first time. Namath throwing for Don Maynard. It's caught for Dick Anderson down to the close to something. 35 in Jet territory by Rich Baxter. This is intercepted on his first pass of the afternoon. They mark the ball now to 33, and the Miami offense comes on, led by Earl Morrill. Quincy Morris and Larry Zonka will be the running back. Morrill brings Miami out at an eye and a slot left. First down, in motion to the left goes right is Howard Twilley. Here's a handoff to Morris. Morris bangs into the middle and goes maybe for a yard at the most. Mark Lomas, the right end, stops the play for the New York Jets. He got very little. We'll wait for the marking. The front four for New York: Jerry Philbin, John Little, John Elliott, and Mark Lomas. No gain on the play for all practical purposes. Maybe a foot. We'll call it second and 10. Mike Taylor, the rookie from Michigan, and Ralph Baker are the outside linebackers. Wide receivers to each side. Morrill an inside handoff to Zonka. He's down to the 31 and inches towards the 30 and a stop there. And the tackler, John Little and Ralph Baker. Jim Mandich is now in a tight end. Marv Fleming comes out for Miami on a third down, about 7. The ball just outside the New York 30-yard line. Jets have only 2 linebackers in at the moment and 5 defensive backs. Wide to the right, Twilley. Wide to the left, Otto Stowe. Third down call for Earl Morrill, the veteran quarterback out of Michigan State. Backpedals to throw. Throws a swing pass to Zonka coming out of the backfield. He's down across the 20. to the across the 25 rather. He is down around the 23-yard line where he is tripped up and knocked down by Gus Sullivan. That is the first down for the Dolphins on the Jets 23. Mandich comes out. Fleming comes in for Miami at tight end.
Big first down for the Miami Dolphins. Of course, they'd like to establish that running game also. Jets are using 5 defensive backs, Merle, 2 linebackers, 2 strong safeties, Wise and Harmon. And again, it's very similar to the 4-4 defense, the 4 linebackers that they used a good portion of last year.
Earl Morrill at quarterback. Operates the Dolphins in an eye, and he hands off to the first man. And that's Larry Zonka, the big fullback out of Syracuse. He goes banging across the 20 to the 19, where he is tripped up by Rob Baker. And the gain is about 3. It'll be second down and 7. Larry Zonka, second in the AFC in rushing with 739 yards. O.J. Simpson leads it with 812. John Riggins is third in the AFC in rushing with 736 yards. Here come the Dolphins. Jim Langer out of South Dakota State is out over the ball. Wide to the left, Otto Stowe, and out to the right side, Howard Twilley, the former Tulsa star. Here is Morrill. A handoff to Mercury Morris. Behind Kuchenberg, swinging around the right end, goes across the 15, gets down to around the 12. And we will have a measurement, I believe. Chris Farasopoulos made the tackle, and Farasopoulos is injured on the play. And here come the 6.
Yeah, Merle, Al Atkinson is hurting. He's got a bad foot. Larry Grantham has a deep thigh bruise. Neither one has started the football game. This is one of the reasons that the Jets are going with the 5th defensive back. Now, you would think against a tough running team like the Miami Dolphins, it's a first down for Miami. And Chris Farasopoulos is still lying on the field being worked over by the Jets doctor and also by the trainer. Getting back to the 5 defensive backs, you would think that against a tough running team like Miami, you would want to use 5 defensive linemen instead of the 5th defensive back. I'm sure the injuries to Grantham and Atkinson have some bearing on the Jet defensive coaches. There's a timeout, so we'll get to this later. No timeout? Okay, let me just finish that statement then. Really, it's not so much that they're using 5 defensive backs that will weaken their defense against the rush. It's how they play those 5 defensive backs. They're playing like linebackers close to the line of scrimmage, and therefore, really, Miami's chance to run the football hasn't been greatly improved.
All right, the Dolphins have picked up their second first down of the afternoon. The ball is down on the Jet 12-yard line. The Dolphins won the earlier meeting in New York 27-17 behind Bob Griese, who is now out but is expected back for the game against the Giants. W.K. Hicks is now the defensive secondary for New York. Out of the huddle come the Dolphins. Fully to the right. The running back are Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris, and Earl Morrill calls it. Hands off to Morris. Here he comes around the left side. Gets down to the 10. Is jumped by Early Thomas just inside the 10-yard line. Phil Wise up from the secondary to help out. And Mercury Morris is a very shifty runner and has become a powerful runner this year also. Here comes Jim Mandich, the tight end out of Michigan in his 3rd season in, and Mar Fleming, the ex-Packer, goes out. Gain of 3, second down and 7 at the 9.
Yeah, we'll be watching Mike Taylor, the Jets linebacker, see how he does when he's starting his first ball game. He played well last week. He played a good portion of the game. Tough tackler.
Stowe wide to the left. And to the right, Twilley. Morrill to throw. Throws for Twilley. Touchdown. Howard Twilley catching a 9-yard touchdown pass from Earl Morrill. And the Dolphins go into the lead. And the crowd goes bananas with those white handkerchiefs. Everybody waving the white handkerchiefs here in Miami. So, the old pro Earl Morrill drives the Dolphins 33 yards in 7 plays to put them on the scoreboard. And a 6-0 lead. The left-footed kicking Garo Yepremian will go for the extra point with Morrill holding. Here's the snap, and the kick is on the way. It is good. 10:06 to go in the first quarter. There's a timeout of the field to score. The Miami Dolphins 7 and the New York Jets nothing. The Miami Dolphins, who have won 9 straight games this year and had 1 to regular season play last year for 10. The Dolphins set a club record in scoring last week, putting 52 on the board against the New England Patriots. They're 4-9 against the Jets in AFC competition. But Jorklin is deep with Wise. Yefremian's kickoff goes sailing way back into the end zone where it is down by Bill Wise. So the Jets take over at their own 20-yard line once again. They're down by 7-0 in this ball game, and this is a very big game for the Jets. It's big for the Dolphins in that it would clinch the East Division crown for them. But I think there's little doubt now that the Dolphins are going to wrap that up. But it's a very big game for the Jets because they still hope to win that wild card spot in the AFC playoffs.
And they've got to be wondering about the 6 wins that they do have over 3 week clubs. They want to prove to themselves and everyone else that they're a solid ball club, and this is their opportunity.
Eddie Bell going wide to the left and Don Maynard wide to the right. The Jets line up in the I. John Riggins up front. Emerson Boozer right behind him. The Jets go set. The handoff goes to Boozer. Boozer hits the line, goes no place at the 20. Nick Bonicani, the middle linebacker. The old pro out of Notre Dame makes a stop. He's 5'11 and 220, but he is very mobile, as Jake Gaither would call him.
Mobile and tough, Merle. Like Larry Grantham, relies a great deal on leverage. He's not going to overpower anyone, but you'll never get under him. You'll never be able to get a shoulder under his. He just plants those feet as you're about to make contact, gets under the offensive lineman, and even though he may be outweighed 25 to 30 pounds, he usually succeeds in straightening up the lineman and getting in on the tackle.
Bob Matheson in, 4 linebackers, 3 rushers. Matheson lines up on the corner on the left side, however. Namath puts the Jets set on the 20 with a second down 20. Backpedals to throw. Throws to Riggins coming out of the backfield of the 20. At the 25, knocked out of bounds by Doug Swift and by Curtis Johnson at the 27-yard line. So it's a gain of 7, meaning 3rd down and 3 coming up from for New York at the 27-yard line of the Jets. We're talking about Jake Gaither, the longtime coach at Florida A&M and one of the most respected men of the business. He was once asked about his big back. We were talking about mobile. He said, I like my back mobile, agile, and hostile. And he really had him.
The regular defensive end is that he works from a standing position, what they call a 2-point stance. Doesn't have his hand on the ground, which would make it a 3-point stance.
Namath fakes to Riggins, goes back to throw, and throws to Boozer coming out of the backfield at the 35 for a first down, and Curtis Johnson is there to cover to make the tackle. So the Jets get their first down of the afternoon. The ball right at the 35-yard line. First down, New York. The Jets trail 7-0. We have 8 minutes and 48 seconds to go in the first quarter here in Miami. On the left side, Namath up under. John Schmidt calling the play. Running backs are in close. Namath backpedals to throw. Has some time. Throws to Boozer at the 50. He's inside Miami territory at the 47 and brought down by Jake Scott. So Joe Namath going to the air. The ball spotted very near the 47-yard line. A gain of 17 and a first down. So the Jets have had little success running, and Namath goes to the air to maybe open up that middle a little bit.
The one advantage of having Matheson in that standing position on the defensive line is that he can drop back and not only rush the passer, which is what the defensive end normally does, but he can also get into pass coverage so that in a passing situation, it's a pretty good defense.
Barkham is in for Maynard. He's to the right. Bell to the left. The handoff goes to Boozer. Boozer hits the left side, crosses the 45, gets near the 44, where Manny Fernandez, the 5-year veteran from Utah, makes the tackle. Maynard comes back in now, and Barkham goes out. Namath is hit on 3 out of 4 for 32 yards here in the first period.
Fernandez is probably the Dolphins' best defensive lineman, Merle. He was a free agent, and the story is the Dolphins signed him simply because he had a back in 68. He's developed into their best defensive lineman.
Namath back to pass, 2nd and 7, throws to Boozer, who drops, Riggins coming out of the backfield. He drops the ball, covered by Doug Swift. I think John was trying to run with that ball before he got a hold of it. Let's pause briefly for station identification. Your dial is Jetset.
This is WTRY-FM, Albany, New York.
Running back, Boozer and Riggins. Joe Willie on the draw to Riggins. Riggins at the 40, at the 35, breaks tackles and goes inside the 30 to the 29. Brought down by Curtis Johnson, the quarterback. And John Riggins picks up his biggest gain of the day so far, 15 yards, just inside the 30-yard line of the Dolphins, and it's first down New York, and the Jets are on the move, starting this drive from their own 20.
Yeah, you can never tell when the quarterback is checking off or changing the play at the line of scrimmage. If we could tell up here, they could certainly tell down on the field when he does that, but Bonicani was blitzing, and the play did break to the other side. No linebacker to bring down Riggins.
Maynard sets on the right side. Eddie Bell going wide to the left. The quarterbacks are still back. Namath this time to Riggins. Riggins is hit by Bob Matheson, fumbles the ball. Let's see if the play was over. Bob Matheson made the tackle as Riggins was having trouble controlling the ball, but the play was dead. And John moves the ball to the 28-yard line for a gain of 2. It'll be second down and 8. Riggins, as we mentioned earlier, is third in the AFC in rushing with 736 yards. Last year, he rushed for 769 yards and needed, now he has 17. He needed 33 going into the ball game to surpass last year's rushing mark. Here come the Jets in a slot right with Maynard wide, Eddie Bell in the slot to the right. The running back split out wide. 28-yard line is the line of scrimmage, Miami territory. Namath calls the play with Schmidt over the ball. Joe Willie is back to pass. He is looking in the pocket, running out of the pocket. Look out, Joe. Pulled down by Matheson from behind on the 26. Joe Namath advancing the ball and pulled down by Bob Mathis on the 26 for the Dolphins. And it now becomes third down and 6.
He had a big area to move, Namath did. The pass protection was good. He had 4 receivers downfield, the 3 ends, the tight end, the 2 wide receivers, and also John Riggins was downfield, but there was just a gaping hole to his left, and Namath decided to take it. His receivers were covered.
The Dolphins are staying with 3 rushers and 4 linebackers. Wide to the left, Bell. Wide to the right, Maynard. The running backs are split. Third down, 6 is the call on the 26-yard line of the Dolphins. The Jets go set. Namath goes back to pass. The rush is on, but Joe has time. Throws to Castro on the 15. Castro fights his way to the 12, brought down by Tim Foley, the left cornerback. And the Jets get themselves a first down of the Dolphin. Well, it's almost the 11-yard line. So Namath converts the third down play. And the Jets are first and 10 on the 11. That's their 4th first down of the afternoon.
Merle, that was the same pass pattern that Namath was intercepted on earlier in the ball game. Castro running a sideline, Maynard going deep downfield on a fly or a go pattern. The first time he threw to Maynard, that time he threw to Castro, was completed.
Castro picking up 14 yards. He leads the Jets receivers with 546 going into the game today. Namath hand off to Riggins, hit behind the line, breaks the tackle, gets inside the 10, down near the 9, and Dick Anderson, the strong safety, comes up to make the tackle. Denherter then came in to help out with Doug Swift, and Mike Colin came flying over the top and folded Riggins back across the 10, but the ball is spotted on the 9. That'll become second down 8 for New York at the 9-yard line. Riggins is now 3 carries for 20 yards.
Well, you remember in the first meeting between these 2 clubs at Chase Stadium, I guess about a month ago, the Dolphins stopped the Jets on the 1-yard line. It was first and goal on the 1, and they couldn't score. And Riggins made a comment after the game that he thought they relied too much on Namath, couldn't figure out why they faltered inside the 10-yard line.
Going to the right side, Maynard. Wide to the left is Eddie Bell. The running backs are split wide. Namath backpedaling to throw. He has some time. He throws, caught by Castro at about the 1-yard line. He's right down against the goal line. Jake Scott making the tackle. And should be first down and goal to go inside the 1. Now Bob Heinz is coming back in for Miami to give the Dolphins a bigger lineman than Bob Matheson. Wayne Stewart has come in to give the Jets 2 tight ends. And Jerome Barkham is also in. Namath is now 5 out of 7 for 54 yards. And the Jets are first and goal to go inside the Miami 1. John Schmidt goes out over the ball. Barkham lines up on the wing left. The ends are in tight. And the handoff goes to Riggins. Riggins bangs in for the touchdown off the slant right. Jake Scott hit him on the 1, but he bounced off Scott and right into the end zone. And Riggins puts the Jets on the scoreboard from the 1-yard line. The Jets marched 80 yards in 11 plays in a very well-organized drive, Sam.
Yeah, they had some yardage on the ground also. The one play that Riggins broke when Bona County was blitzing was important, and they have run the ball fairly well. Of course, the major portion of the yardage on that drive was Joe Namath throwing the football.
Bob Davis will hold for Bobby Harfield. Bob will attempt to tie the game. The kick is up, and he does just that. So with a 7-7 ball game and 2:23 to go in the first period, there's a timeout on the field. Let's take a 60-second jet break for this announcement. Is ready. Morris and Lee are ready. Norm Schachter, the referee, says, let's go, and Howfield bangs the ball downfield. It'll be taken by Morris on the 1, to the 5, to the 10, up the middle of the 15. Breaks to the 20, gets knocked down hard, fumbles the ball, Miami recovers it on the 20. Jim Mandich fell on that ball. It was separated from Mercury Morris, who really took a shot from Roy Kirksey, rather. And the Jets have an injury.
Kirksey, I believe. No, he really laid it to him.
So there's a timeout on the field to score the New York Jets 7 to the Miami Dolphins 7. Well, we're ready to resume play once again. Roy Kirksey is being helped off the field. He knocked himself a little dizzy. Hit Mercury Morris so hard. Separated the ball from Morris, but Mandich fell on it. Earl Morrill at quarterback calls it. First down at the Miami 20. The running backs are split out wide. The handoff goes to Kick. Kick behind Kuchenberg at the 20. Kick and goes down the 26-yard line. Mike Taylor trips him up. Jim Kick out of Wyoming. And the ball is brought back to the 25-yard line. A gain of 5 by Jim Kick. He's 5'11 and 215. Can really move, and as Sam said, he's a little bit upset about losing part of his starting job to Mercury Morris. As Don Shula says, he has 3 starting backs.
He's got 3 good ones, and of course Morris gives him that outside speed, which Kick doesn't really have. Doesn't have great speed.
The ends are in, and Twilly is to the right, and the running back split. Earl Morrill, a handoff to Kick. He's hit at the line of scrimmage by John Elliott, the big guy from Texas, in his 6th year for the Jets. The ball now at the 26-yard line becomes 3rd down and 4. Earl Morrill, who took over for the injured Bob Griese, going into the game today, had completed 36 of 63 passes for 536 yards, and he has a 5th touchdown pass of the season, getting it today to put Miami on the scoreboard early. The Dolphins have rushed, and we have 59 seconds to go in the first period. Morrill to throw, throws and it's incomplete. He tried to pop his tight end, Marv Fleming, but Marv got popped by W.K. Hicks and shook the ball loose, and the Jets almost had an interception. So Larry Seifel comes in to kick for the Dolphins on a 4th down and 4 on the Dolphins 26. Morrill, 2 out of 3 in this game, 16 yards, 1 touchdown. Chris Barastopoulos, who was shaken up earlier, is back in now for the Jets. He's deep along with W.K. Hicks. And Larry Seifel, who is averaging just under 40 yards a kick, is back to punt for the Dolphins. The first punt of this ball game. 54 seconds to go in the first period in Miami with the score tied 7-7. Here's the snap from center. The kick is away by Seifel. He bangs it downfield. Barastopoulos will take the ball on the 29 of the Jets. Barastopoulos at the 34, goes down there, and a hard shot by Mike Tolan, one of the linebackers. A 45-yard punt by Larry Seifel. At about a 4-yard return, they spot the ball officially on the 33-yard line, and the Jets take over for the 3rd time today with the offensive unit. The first time, Namath was intercepted. The second time, he drove the Jets 80 yards for the tying touchdown.
Now, watching Mike Tawas, the Jets' #1 draft choice, playing linebacker today along with Ralph Baker as the Jets are using 5 defensive backs, does well on the running game. Not quite as sure of himself in passing situations.
Back to pass on first down, throws to Riggins, coming out of the backfield. Riggins at the 35. Riggins is knocked out of bounds by Doug Swift on the 39-yard line. So Namath going to the air. He had little success in the first 2 drives on the ground against the Dolphins, but then, by going to the air, got his ground game going in that last touchdown drive. Bob Heinz is now in for Miami, as the Dolphins have gone back to the front 4. So it's Vern Dinherter, Manny Fernandez, Bob Hines, and Bill Stanfill up front. John Riggins has now caught 2 passes for 12 yards. Wide to the right, Maynard. Wide to the left, Eddie Bell. Rich Castor, the tight end, is set up on the right side. The running backs are in close. The Jets go set. Namath on a 2nd and 4 gives off to John Riggins, and Bob Hines stops him near the 40-yard line for a very short gain. So it'll be 3rd down, about 3 for the Jets.
Riggins, ball carrier.
John Riggins, the big guy from Centralia, Kansas. And by the way, his brother Billy has played for the University of Kansas and is playing for KU this year. But he also had a brother, Junior Riggins, who decided to go baseball after playing football at KU. Well, there's the gun to end the first quarter and the score. The New York Jets 7, the Miami Dolphins 7. Let's take a 60-second jet break for this announcement.
40 minutes flight over the...
Bell to the left, Maynard to the right. Third down call for Namath. Joe Willie on an inside handoff to Riggins, and he is hit back in the 38 by Bob Matheson. So the Jets will have to give up the football on a 4th down and 5 as they lost 2 yards in the last play. So Steve O'Neill, who is averaging almost 40 yards a kick, is back to punt. Jake Scott goes deep along with Dick Anderson for Miami.
Well, they call that Miami defense a no-name defense, but they certainly don't play that way. It's a good defensive unit. Probably the reason they call it a no-name defense is the way they got that front four. Manny Fernandez, as we said before, was a free agent. And Vern Denherder, who is maybe their best pass rusher right now, was a 9th-round pick in 1971. He was an ex-basketball player and a shot putter, not much of a football player in college. And, of course, Jim Dunaway, who's out with a bad point, he had a herniated disc, I believe, was pretty much cast off by Buffalo. So that's how the name originated earlier in the year, or last year, the no-name defense.
And the no-name defense loves it. They look at that name with a mark of pride. All-out rush by Miami, and O'Neill gets it away, drives up, beautiful kick downfield. Inside the 10 at the 7-yard line is Jake Scott at the 15 to the 20 and is pulled out at about the 22. Ed Gallagher made the tackle, a 54-yard punt by Steve O'Neill. And there's a timeout on the field, and the score, the Miami Dolphins 7 and the New York Jets 7. Stowe to the left, Twilley to the right. Earl Morrill at quarterback, fakes to Morris, goes back to pass. He is throwing incomplete at the 43-yard line, intended for Mar Fleming. Steve Tannen was covering in the area for New York. Tannen, of course, a very popular name here in Florida, having played at Gainesville at the University of Florida, was the Jets' #1 draft choice. 2nd and 10 on the Jet 20, or the Miami 22.
Well, the Jets have had a few breaks, and as much as Miami has dropped a few passes they should have had, that last pass should have been caught by Fleming. And the last time the Dolphins had the ball, I think they would have had a 1st down. It was a 3rd down situation. And again, I think it was Mandich who dropped the football. So really the Jets have had some breaks in that respect.
Wide to the left goes Stowe, to the right is Twilley. The Dolphins are in the eye. Here is Morrill backpedaling to throw and looking, pumping once and throwing long for Twilley. Has got him down there, makes the touch, and he goes out of bounds, but I believe he was out of bounds when he caught the ball, and he was on the 41-yard line. Steve Tannen was chasing Twilley, and Twilley got behind him, but Twilley was out of bounds. He had 1 foot out of bounds when he caught the ball.
And again, the Jet defense was lucky because Twilley was behind Tannen. The pass defense has not been solid today, and again, we should point out that they're using 5 defensive backs. But as I mentioned before, it's not so much whether you're using 5 defensive backs or 4 linebackers or an extra defensive lineman. It's how you deploy those people, and the Jets are using that 5th defensive back to guard against the run and not to prevent the pass.
To the right is Twilley, to the left is Stowe. The cornerbacks of the Jets lay off by almost 10 yards. 3rd down call and 10. Morrill backpedaling to throw again. He is going this time at the 38-yard line to Stowe. Makes a diving catch for the 1st down. Mike Taylor covering in the area. So Stowe cut that ball right off the shoe tops, went down, got up, tried to move, and Taylor covered him immediately. A 16-yard pickup at a 1st down. And Morrill is now 3 out of 6 for 32 yards.
Probably should be 6 for 6. Early Thomas was faked out completely on that last play. Stowe broke to the sideline, and he turned Thomas. Thomas had made the break to the sideline. He cut back.
1st and 10 on the 38 to the right, Twilley. Here is Morrill, a pitch to Mercury. Morris bobbling the ball. The Jets have recovered it, I believe, at the 37-yard line. Let's see who's got it. The ball was bobbled a 2nd time by the Jets, but they still recovered. Early Thomas recovering this time. Mercury Morris never had control of the ball, but it will be spotted on the 37 is where the original recovery was made. The ball was bobbled a second time, but the whistle had blown the ball dead at the 37. And the Jets get a break, and now they need to go right in, Sam.
Yeah, this would be ideal if they can capitalize on this because, you know, breaks per se don't mean very much unless you can go ahead and get on the scoreboard.
Well, with the score tied 7-7 and 12:56 to go in the first half, there's a timeout on the field. Let's take a 60-second Jet break for this announcement. Wide to the left goes Eddie Bell. To the right is Don Maynard. The Jets are in the eye with Riggins up front and Boozer close behind. Namath calls the play on the 37, gives to Boozer. Boozer comes up the middle across the 35, gets down to the 33 where Bob Matheson makes the tackle for the Dolphins. Matheson is out of Duke in his 6th year. Emerson Boozer crashing down to the 33-yard line, and Boozer has had himself quite a year. Going into the game today, he needed only 32 yards rushing to become the second greatest rusher in Jet history. He has 7 yards so far in the game today. Bill Mathis is the number 2 rusher, and of course, Matt Snell owns the top mark in rushing for the Jets. The gain of 4, second down, 6 for New York. Namath hands off to Boozer. Boozer comes back to the right side behind Randy Rasmussen, gets down to the 29. Tim Foley from the secondary of the Dolphins makes the tackle, and the Jets will have 3rd down and about 2. Talking about Emerson Boozer, he's first in the NFL in scoring other than kicking with 78 points. He's second in the NFL in all scoring. Ray Jarrella of Pittsburgh has 81 points to top the scorers. Boozer has 13 touchdowns, 10 by rushing, 3 by passing. And his next touchdown will establish a new personal high for him. He had 13 TDs in 1967. 3rd down to New York. Score tied 7-7. Wide receivers to each side. Namath is back to pass. Joe looking. Joe throwing for Castor. Has him. Touchdown. Hit him on the 3-yard line. He went in front of Dick Anderson standing up. And Namath on a 3rd down and 2 call from the 28-yard line fires a strike to Rich Castor. And Castor, the leading receiver for the Jets, has now scored his 8th touchdown of the year. And the Jets now lead the Dolphins by 13-12. Coming in, Bobby Howfield for the extra point try. Castor has now caught 3 passes for 49 yards in this game. Howfield is set. Bob Davis a hold. Now we have time called. Apparently, the ball is a little slippery, and John Schmidt, who will snap, asks for a dry ball. So Joe Namath, who leads all NFL quarterbacks in touchdown passes, has just fired his 16th. Howfield is set. Here's the extra point try. It is good. And with 11:32 to go in the first half, there's a timeout on the field and a score. The New York Jets 14, the Miami Dolphins 7. I believe the official yardage on that touchdown pass will probably be 27. We'll get at the official stats at the half.
Yeah. Well, I think the Jets have about 86 yards in the air. Joe Namath is 7 for 9, and they have 30 or 32 yards on the ground.
Mercury Morris is deep with Charlie Lee as Bobby Howfield's kickoff goes back into the end zone and out of the end zone. So the Dolphins will play it from their own 20 on the touchback, with the Jets leading 14-7. 11:26 to go in the first half.
Well, the move of Rich Castor into that tight end slot has really worked out well for the Jets. And Namath likes to throw to him. He likes to throw to him over the middle, as opposed to Eddie Bell, of course, who is smaller, and you would try to avoid throwing to Bell over the middle, or Don Maynard, who isn't that big. Well, he's tall, but not as big and tough as Castor. And Castor does use his body, and you can talk to him, and he'll tell you that he tries to utilize that size against the smaller defensive back.
Howard Twilley going to the left and Stowe in the slot left as Morrill operates the Dolphins in the eye, with Zonka and Morris. A pitch to Mercury Morris behind Zonka, trying to get outside, tripped up by Phil Wise. Great tackle, and Mercury Morris fumbled the ball, but recovered his own fumble, rolling up near the 19-yard line, but the ball will be spotted back on the 17. Phil Wise, in his 2nd year out of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, back there to make the defensive play for the Jets, and a loss of 3 makes it 2nd and 13. Morris has now carried 5 times for 7 yards.
It's a pretty good job by that Jet defense in stopping the run.
Yes, sir, and they were trying to get Morris outside behind Zonka, but Wise, who was playing over there, and now comes up in the line of scrimmage, lines up in the line of scrimmage to the right. Made that fine play. Wide receiver to each side. Morrill back to pass on 2nd and 13. Morrill throwing a screen. Great catch by Morris back of the 10. Morris to the 15. Morris to the 20. Is knocked down to the 22. And again the ball is sprung loose, but the play was over. Gus Holloman and W.K. Hicks made the tackle, and Jim Langer, the center, had a key block on that screen. But Morris was all the way back to the 10-yard line as he took that pass and winds up getting but short yardage on the play. He got 5 altogether. It'll be 3rd down 8. Jim Mandich has replaced Marv Fleming at tight end for Miami.
Well, let me try to explain what the Jets are doing defensively. The weak safety, in this case the free safety, W.K. Hicks, plays his normal position. The 2 cornerbacks are playing normally. The 2 strong safeties are playing up on the line as the... All right, here we go with the play.
Morrill rolling out to the left, being chased by Loomis, and the flag goes down. Morrill throwing on the run, incomplete. Let's see what the flag is about. Otto Stoll would be the closest receiver, but he was, well, 10 yards away. The Dolphins are caught holding. Now, let's see what the Jets do, because if they refuse the penalty, it will be 4th down for the Dolphins. If they take the penalty, it will be 3rd down, and they refuse the penalty, bringing on the punting unit for the Dolphins. Morrill is now 4 out of 8 for 37 yards. Larry Seipel, who's a lonely guy. We were watching Larry on the sideline a moment ago, Sam. He was 15 yards away from the rest of the team on the bench, down there all alone. Just thinking about things, I suppose.
Well, I guess a kicker has to psych himself up just like any other football player, and it's difficult because he doesn't have a chance to vent his emotions. He just sits there and waits.
Seipel from the 12, puts it in the air, and back goes Farasopoulos. Farasopoulos on the 37. Farasopoulos trying to get outside, can't do it, goes down on the 37. Jim Mandich is downfield to make the tackle for the Dolphins. A 41-yard punt by Larry Seipel, and the Jets have the ball at their own 37. We have 9 minutes and 37 seconds left to play in the first half.
Well, if I can finish that explanation of what the Jets are doing defensively, the 2 strong safeties are playing almost on the line of scrimmage. One is playing over the slot man when the Dolphins line up one of their wide receivers in the slot. The other is playing outside the deep Jets defensive end up on the line of scrimmage. So it's a good defense for stopping the sweeps and keeping Mercury Morris contained to the inside.
Ball to the left, wide to the right is Jerome Barkham, who is now in. Here is Namath on an inside handoff to Riggins, coming back up off his own left guard to about the 38, where Mike Colon, the right linebacker, makes the tackle for the Dolphins. He's out of Auburn in his 3rd year. The Jet defense has held the Dolphin rushing game to only 19 yards so far in the game. And the last game in New York, you'll recall, Larry Zonka had 102 yards rushing. John Riggins has carried 7 times for 22 yards. Bob Hines is out. Bob Matheson is in. That gives the Dolphins 3 rushers plus Matheson. 2nd down, about 8. The running backs are split. Namath the pitch to Riggins. Going behind Winston Hill, who pulls. Riggins breaks the tackle, goes across the 45 and gets to the 46. Tim Foley makes the stop finally with help from Doug Swift and Dick Anderson. I believe Foley was a man whose tackle was broken by Riggins. And John went on to get about 6. And the Jets now have a 3rd down and about a yard. Bob Hines comes in to beef up the front line for the Miami Dolphins. Wayne Stewart is in at tight end along with Rich Castor for the Jets in a short yardage situation.
Well, it's hard to tell whether all the zone defenses being used in the NFL have helped the running game because those people in the secondary, the linebackers and deep backs, drop back quickly. It may be one of the reasons that teams have been running so well.
3rd down, 1. Namath calls it. Here's the snap, and the handoff goes to Riggins. Riggins has the 1st down and more into Miami territory. Breaking tackle, going to the 40, down to the 30, breaks another tackle, goes to the 25, down to the 20, down to the 15, carrying Tim Foley with him who hit him in the arm, and Riggins just simply dragged Foley. In fact, it looked like Riggins was pulling Foley, was holding on to Foley rather than Foley holding on to Riggins. A 40-yard pickup on the play by John Riggins, down to the 15-yard line of the Dolphins.
And he held on to the football because he couldn't put that other arm over the ball as he was going to be tackled. He had the one arm on the defender that he was struggling with, and of course, just one arm on the football as he was tackled and brought down eventually.
That's the 7th first down for the Jets here in the first half. Eddie Bell wide to the left, Don Maynard wide to the right. First down to the Dolphin 15-yard line. The Jets lead 14-7 here in the Orange Bowl. John Schmidt is over the ball. The Jets go set. Namath back to pass. Drops back deep. Throws over the middle. Intercepted on the 6-yard line by Nick Monicati. Monicati at the 10. The 15 is out of bounds on the 16-yard line. Winston Hill chased him out of bounds. So the Jets lose a great opportunity on the Dolphins' second interception of a Namath pass. Nick Monicati from the 6 got it out to the 16. And the Dolphins take over. So Miami with the second interception of the afternoon. The Dolphins have the ball at their own 16.
Again, those passes over the middle are difficult. You've got to throw between the linebackers, and this, of course, requires precise timing.
The left side of the defensive unit up front, we'll tell you about it in a moment. Here's Earl Morrill and a handoff. Deluca breaking left through the middle for a big hole out to the 30-yard line. A 14-yard pickup. W.K. Hicks making the tackle. Larry Little opened the hole for him. First down, Dolphins. And W.K. Hicks is not getting up. We'll pause briefly for station identification on the Jet Set Network. That was Early Thomas, who was sitting there for a moment, but he's all right as the Dolphins get ready to go for their own 30. Here's a handoff to Mercury Morris, fighting his way into the middle and goes to the 33 and is dumped hard by Steve Thompson, who just came into the ball game, replacing John Little. Ed Gallagher is now playing the left end for Jerry Philbin. Mike Taylor was also into the tackle. A gain of about 2. It'll be second down at 8. Morris has now been held to 9 yards on 6 carries.
Gallagher is the biggest and strongest, Merle, of the Jet defensive linemen. And I imagine that's the reason he's in there to stop this running attack of the Dolphins. The Jets have done a good job of doing that.
Wide to the left goes Stove. And a pitch comes back to Morris as Zonka went into the slot. Morris bangs his way up to the 40. Fumbles the ball. Miami recovers, though, on the 42. Doug Cruzan fell on the ball at the 42-yard line. John Elliott separated Morris from the ball, and Mercury is having trouble holding on to it today. Now we have an official timeout. The ball is marked on the 41 in place of the 42, but it's still a first down. They originally set the ball on the 42. That's the 4th first down for the Dolphins. Jerry Philbin comes back in, and Ed Gallagher goes out at... No, Ed Gallagher will stay in, but where will he play? Mark Lomas will go out at right end, and Gallagher flips-flops to the other side.
I watched him, Merle, on the 3 plays that he was in at left defensive end. He was blocked all 3 times.
Wide to the left goes Stowe. To the right is Twilly, and Mandich is now the tight end for the Dolphins. Earl Morrill calls the play with Langer over the ball. Morrill faking, back to throw and does. Picked off by Hicks on midfield stride down the sideline. He goes to the 40, 35, 30, 20, 15. Inside the 15 of the 10, dives to the 9. W.K. Hicks, an interception at the midfield stripe, takes the ball back to the 9-yard line. 41 yards on the return. And the Jets have the football right back. An even better field position on an exchange of interceptions. First and goal on the Miami 9.
I wonder if the zone defenses are causing the interception. I don't think so. I think that probably, as I mentioned before, it may be one of the reasons that the running game seems to be more prevalent, or more teams are running with a football successfully this year because of the drop of the linebackers and the deep backs. It helps, especially on stuff up the middle and off tackle rather than on the sweeps.
Each team has turned the ball over twice now. The Jets have a first and goal at the Miami 9-yard line. The Jets lead at 14-7 with 4:15 to play in the first half. Namath, a handoff to Boozer. Trying to get to the outside of the 10 is dumped. A great tackle on the 10-yard line by Curtis Johnson, and Boozer is not getting up. Boozer holding the right knee. Emerson Boozer in pain, holding on to the right knee as he was dumped hard by Curtis Johnson. Boozer in 6 carries has picked up 11 yards. The ball was spotted on the 10 for a yard loss. Dr. James Nicholas, the team physician, is out there with Jeff Snedeker, and they're working on the right knee of Emerson Boozer. So Dr. Nicholas taking a very close look and straightening the leg out now, exercising the leg somewhat, but very cautiously.
What he's doing, Merle, when he moves the leg like that, he's actually testing for ligament damage. If the ligaments are torn severely enough, Boozer is on his feet now and walking off the field with a slight limp. But if the ligaments are damaged and torn, there'll be movement. There'll be play in that knee, and he can frequently tell almost immediately just how severe the injury is. Boozer seems to be in pretty good shape. He's walking off the field, and the doctor, rather than move the leg from side to side as he normally does to test the damage to the ligaments on the side of the knee, was moving it forward and backward, testing the possibly a torn capsule in the back or a torn muscle.
Boozer walking off without a limp. Remember that night in, was it Charlotte, Sam, North Carolina? Where were we when you got your knee?
Here was Charlotte. Beautifully grassed field. That killed me, all that grass.
Wide to the right, Don Maynard. Wide to the left, Eddie Bell. First and goal on the 10-yard line. Clifford McLean has replaced Emerson Boozer as a setback. He's in there tight with John Riggins. Namath on a second down call is back to pass. He throws back over the middle, and the ball is knocked down by Manny Fernandez. He was trying to throw to Riggins over the middle, and Fernandez leaps high to knock it down, but there's a flag thrown back on the 2-yard line. The Dolphins are applauding the flag, but let's see what it was about.
Cliff McLean, I believe, got called for, let's see, what is that?
Pass interference.
Pass interference downfield. And, Merle, he played in the first Miami game, if you remember, and it was a shaky game for Cliff McLean. Did not play well.
So far in the game, the Jets have amassed 169 yards total offense. The Dolphins have 81 total offense, as a 15-yard penalty is walked off against the Jets, taking the ball out to the 25. The Jets have rushed for 83 yards, passed for 86. Boozer is coming back now, and Clifford McLean goes out. 2 penalties against the Jets, 25 yards total. Bob Matheson comes in. Lloyd Mumford comes in. Nick Boniconi, the middle linebacker, comes out. That puts 5 defensive backs in that secondary for the Miami Dolphins. Don Maynard going to the right side. Eddie Bell coming out wide to the left. Boozer and Riggins are the setbacks, split wide. Second down and goal to go on the Miami 25. The Jets lead at 14-7. We're down to 3:36 to go in the first half. John Schmidt is over the ball. Rich Caster, tight end, is on the right. Here's a draw to Boozer. Boozer hits the right side, goes nowhere. Tackle made by Vern Denherter. In fact, Boozer was thrown all the way back to the 31, but I believe the ball will be marked in a 26 for a yard loss. So it will be third down and goal to go on the 26-yard line of the Dolphins.
Looked like there was a hole developing to the inside, but Boozer broke to the outside. It's thrown for a loss.
Joe Namath now 7 out of 10 for 86 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Sends Eddie Bell wide to the left and Don Maynard wide to the right. Third down and goal of the Miami 26. Namath fakes the draw to Riggins. Drops back deep to throw, and he throws long. Alley-oops the ball for Maynard. It's out of bounds. Joe apparently lost his grip on the ball. Lloyd Mumford was covering in the area. It looked like he did not have a good grip because the ball didn't come off of those fingertips right.
Yeah, the ball was wobbling downfield. If he had meant to throw the ball out of bounds deliberately, I think he would have had more on it. He wouldn't have thrown the wobbly pass.
Now Bobby Howfield will try to get 3 for the Jets from the 35-yard line. Howfield has 77 points. He is 4 short of his all-time mark in the AFL with Denver. Davis holding at the 33 it will be. Here's the kick. It's on the way. The distance is all right. The kick is good. A 33-yard field goal by Bob Howfield. From the 33, and the Jets now move in front by 17-7, a 10-point lead with 2:41 left to play in this first half. So Bobby Howfield has now kicked 15 out of 19. He has 34 conversions in 35 attempts, and he has 80 points. Is that 80 or 81? Let's double check because he had 81 for an all-time high, and he is 80. He is 1 shy. Back deep, Charlie Lee and Mercury Morris. Here's Howfield's kickoff. It's high, end over end. Will go into the end zone. Played by Charlie Lee, and he will down the ball in the end zone. He started to come out, and Mercury Morris took a look at him, says, down the ball, my friend, and he did. So the Dolphins take it to their own 20. The ball was getting very, very high, and the Jets were covering well. Good call by Morris.
Yeah, that's the secret. Not only on punts, but also on the kickoffs. The coaches would like to have a high kick to allow the people covering the kick to get down under the football and prevent the run back. Doesn't matter how far the punt goes, but how far it's run back. Kickoff is a little bit different. Of course, if you can get it out of the end zone, you've got no problem.
Mercury Morris, a handoff by Morrill, breaks the tackle of the 20 and then gets knocked down by Steve Tannen, who had to go with a right arm tackle on Morris on the 21-yard line. A gain of 1 by Mercury, and the Jets have really keyed on him this afternoon. Second down, 9 on the 21.
Yeah, Harmon had a shot at him, Merle, behind the line of scrimmage, put his head down as he went to make the tackle, and of course Morris was just moving sideways, took a slight backward movement or step, and Harmon missed the tackle.
Morrill back to pass, looks for Twilly, and he makes the catch on the 40 and rolls up to the 44. W.K. Hicks made the tackle. Steve Tannen went for the interception, just barely missed it. And Twilly caught it for 22 yards. The ball is put on the 43, and we have a timeout in the field now for the 2-minute warning. A timeout, the score. The Jets 17, the Dolphins 7. Miami in the eye with Morris behind Zonka up close. Morrill calls the play with Langer out over the ball. Morrill on a handoff quick to Zonka, and he is at the 50 and into Jet territory at the 46 for a first down. 11 yards picked up on the play. Holloman and Hicks make the tackle. Taylor and Hicks. So Zonka, once he got that one step behind the line of scrimmage, was gone for a big 11. He has now carried 4 times for 32 yards. We're down to a minute 34 as Morrill is back to pass, has some time. He is going long for Twilly. He's behind Tannen. That's the flag. He is out of bounds on the 1. Howard Twilly got behind Tannen, is out of bounds on the 1-yard line with a minute 25 to go in the first half.
Yeah, they say that Twilly doesn't have that great speed, Merle, but he's got the good move, and he works on Tannen. Tannen, again, was beaten. Twilly was behind him. The play previous to that where Tannen went for the interception, he was gambling a little. You can overlook that because in order to pick off a football, in order to intercept, it frequently requires the defensive back to go ahead and gamble. But letting the guy get behind you is the cardinal sin for a cornerback.
Twilly has cut 3 for 75 yards. Morrison, Zonka, the setbacks, 2 tight ends with Mandich and Fleming, and a handoff to Zonka. Fumbles the ball at the goal line, but I believe the Dolphins recovered it at about the 1. Zonka tried to go over the stack. The ball was shaken loose, but I think the Dolphins recovered it, and they did. Bob Kuchenberg, the left guard, fell on the ball. Clock showing a minute 16 seconds remaining in the first half. The Jets lead the Dolphins 17-7. Earl Morrill on the long pass to Twilly has set it up at the 1, second and goal. The ends again are tight. Twilly to the right. Running backs are split. The handoff to Zonka. Zonka hits to the 1. Is stopped at the 1. And John Ebersol, the middle linebacker, made the initial contact, and he just wasn't about to give. It was Zonka against Ebersol, and that happened in college football, too. Ebersol out of Penn State, Zonka from Syracuse, and 43 seconds remaining. The Dolphins call timeout to stop the clock with a 3rd down and goal. The ball officially spotted inside the 1-yard line, almost at the 1-foot line.
Well, we mentioned earlier in the first meeting between these two clubs at Shea Stadium about a month ago, the Jets had the ball 1st and 10 on the 1-yard line, right about where it is now. And, of course, they couldn't go in for the touchdown, had to settle for a field goal. I would say that if that Jet defensive line can stop the Dolphins here, they will have proven themselves. We were talking before the ball game as to whether the Jet defense has really come around because they haven't played the good football game against tough opposition. This is a key test, but then again, you wouldn't expect a team to be able to hold any good football team 3 or 4 times on the 1-yard line.
Earl Morrill has taken the Dolphins from the 20-yard line to the 1-foot line of the Jets in less than 2 minutes. 3rd down goal. Out of the huddle come the Dolphins. Langer is over the ball. Zonka and Morris are the setbacks. Morrill calls it. Morrill the snap, a handoff to Morris. Morris dives over the top. Touchdown. Mercury Morris scoring for Miami as the Dolphins march 80 yards in 7 plays. Little and Evans set the block up front for Mercury Morris, who went right over the top. Now, Yepremian for the extra point try. 40 seconds remain in the first half. Yepremian is ready. The hold, the kick, it's good. 40 seconds to go, and the Jets' lead has been cut to 3. And there's one thing about scoring right before the half, Sam. A lot of coaches feel that if they can score and then hold that lead, it gives them the momentum going to the dressing room and coming out for the third quarter. What do you think? I know you don't believe in momentum. We've talked about this before.
But what I do...
Premian kicks one that is picked up at the 19-yard line by Bill Zapalak, and Zapalak comes out across the 25 to the 26, and Hubert Genn makes the tackle for the Dolphins. And the clock shows 35 seconds remaining in the first half. The Jets lead the Dolphins by 3 at 17 to 14. Earl Morrill taking the Dolphins on an 80-yard march that took less than 2 minutes. The key play was that long pass to Twilley, and he went out of bounds on the one, and on the third crack, Morris went over the top for the touchdown. Clock now running with 24 seconds to go in the first half. Bob Matheson is in. The Jets running a long huddle. We're down to 18 seconds. Jerome Barkham goes out to the right side. Eddie Bell wide to the left. We're down to 12 seconds. John Schmidt is over the ball. Namath looks over the defense. We're down to 6 seconds. The Jets go set, and now they get hit with a 5-yard penalty for delay of the game. The Jets letting the clock run out will settle for the 3-point lead going into the dressing room at halftime. Ball is now taken back to the 19.
Merle, Larry Zonka had the key block on Mercury Morris's plunge up the middle for that touchdown. And again, that makes sense. You know, ordinarily in a goal line situation like that, when the offensive team is threatening, the defense would be looking for the power runner, in this case, Big Larry Zonka. So then again, by using Zonka to block, you destroy the keys of the defense, and you also have your big man blocking.
Namath hands off to Riggins. Riggins is hit at the 20 and pushed out of bounds in the 21. That ends the first half. The officials have made an error there. They walked off 7 yards to the 19, then moved the ball up to the 21 on that 5-yard penalty. And so the first half has come to an end. At halftime in Miami, the Jets lead the Dolphins 17 to 14. The Dolphins having scored on that quick 80-yard drive by Earl Morrill just before the first half ended. And a man who's really smiling about that last drive is the managing general partner of Miami, Joe Ravi. But Joe, Miami managing general partner is one title. But the title we know that you have is the founder, originator, and president of the Miami Dolphins, the owner of the Dolphins. We're delighted to have you with us today.
Well, it's nice to be with you. I was delighted by that last 80-yard drive, but the Jets have played such a tough first half that I'm sitting here hoping that the Dolphins get rolling in the second half.
You know, it's been a great series, hasn't it?
Oh, it has. I don't think that any series that the Dolphins participate in means more than the series against the New York Jets. For a while, we had that bit going between us and the Baltimore Colts, but we started in football with the Jets as the team that was moving toward the top in the old American Football League, so this relationship means a great deal to us.
It's quite a parallel there, isn't there, between the two operations?
Oh, there is. The Jets were on the move when we came in, and now we think that we've moved up about the same way they did, and apparently we're just about at a par in development from the looks of that scoreboard this afternoon.
Joe, when you first took the franchise, the expansion franchise in the American Football League, pro football had failed in Miami years and years before. And I know being of strong stock from South Dakota and having an outstanding business career in Minneapolis, a well-known attorney, and you came down here, and I guess for a guy that has brought up 11 children, you're used to a few hard knocks, and you know that you got to work hard for success.
Oh, those of us that come from South Dakota in the Depression years realize that we have to struggle for what we get, but that the struggle's worthwhile.
Now, this struggle, though, actually started to bear fruit before Coach Don Shula came. Looked like a perfect marriage. You had you had acquired the young talent, you had this club on the move, but you still kind of lacked the guy to bring the best out of it.
Well, that's right. I think in our first 4 years we had as good a record as any expansion team has had in that period of time, but we still weren't playing up to our potential. We had some of the fine young football players of the entire AFL or NFL, and Coach Shula was just what the doctor ordered, to give these people the leadership and to teach them pro football, and to tell them how important it is to win, and the fact that the sacrifice that they make in order to win is worth it. He was the ideal man at the right place and the right time to make the remarkable record that he has put together in these 2.5 years he's been here.
Now, you're sitting on a championship. If you win today, you're already in, and of course it's a foregone conclusion that you are going to win the Eastern Division Championship. I think all of us would agree to that and attest to that. What are your thoughts now? As you sit here and you look at 80,010, you've sold out every ball game at home and on the road. The Dolphins are certainly one of the most attractive teams, if not the most attractive team in pro football this year. What are your thoughts of a few years ago when you sat here and counted all those empty seats?
Well, I'll tell you, about as important as winning is looking at those enthusiastic 80,010 people who will stand up and cheer for the defense in holding on third down or cheer at any opportunity. I've never seen more enthusiastic people than this any place I've been, and those wall-to-wall people out there give me a deeply satisfying and gratifying experience. One of the finest things that's ever been said about the Miami Dolphins was said first by a black Episcopal priest, Canon Gibson, and has since been repeated by the media, and that is that the Miami Dolphins are the first activity that has ever totally unified the Miami community. And last year they were saying toward the end of the season that the people who live down here were still saying they were from Chicago or New York or Brooklyn or Philadelphia or Boston or someplace else, but now we're all Miamians.
Oh, that's great. It's Earl Harmon. I'll be back with my halftime guest, Joe Robbie, in just a moment. We're getting ready for the third quarter here in Miami. The Jets lead the Dolphins 17-14. And once again, here's Sam Deluca.
Well, here are the stats for the first half. The Jets had 8 first downs to 10 for Miami. Jets had 3 first downs rushing, 5 passing. Miami had 5 rushing and 5 passing. Total offensive yardage, the Jets 170 yards, the Dolphins 161 yards. The Jets ran off 30 plays to 28 for the Dolphins. Rushing yardage, the Jets have an edge of 20 yards, 22 yards actually. They have 79 yards on the ground. The Dolphins had 57 yards rushing. Passing yardage, net passing yardage, 91 for the Jets, 104 for Miami. Joe Namath was 7 for 11, but he threw 2 interceptions. Earl Morrill was 6 for 11. He threw 1 interception. The kick carried the ball only 2 times for 6 yards. Mercury Morris 9 times for 19 yards. And the Zonka-Riggins battle, Riggins is ahead. He carried the ball 10 times for 67 yards, 6.7 yards per carry. Larry Zonka carried the ball 6 times for 32 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. Thing that hurt the Jets, Merle, were those 3 passes to Howard Twilley, total of 75 yards. Of course, one was that 44-yard one, the long one. For the Jets, Rich Castor had 3 catches, Boozer 2, and John Riggins 2. Here's the second half kickoff, Merle.
Bobby Howfield bangs it back into the end zone deep, and Charlie Lee runs out of the end zone as he takes the ball in. And Frank Ramos, the Director of Public Relations for the Jets,
on his way out.
Just come in with an injury report. Roy Kirksey, Frank, will you give us the report, if you will?
Yeah, Kirksey has a jammed neck, and they took x-rays. He's all right, but he probably will not play in the second half. Chris Parasaopoulos has a kidney, got hit in the kidney. He's all right, will play. Boozer has a knee injury. It's a hyperextended knee, but if it's okay, he will come in the game. And Steve Thompson has an ankle injury and probably will not play in the second half.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Miami's ball first and 10 of the 20. Morrison, Zonka, the setbacks, and the quarterbackers are Earl Morrill. Wide receivers to each side. A handoff to Zonka behind Larry Little at the 20. 25, pulled down by Mike Taylor. From behind at about the 25-yard line. Mike Taylor, the rookie All-American from Michigan. making a fine tackle on Larry Zonka after a pickup of 5.
And he's limping a little bit, Merle. Good play by Gus Harmon, one of those strong safeties we were talking about. The Jets are using 2, and he came up there and stripped the interference. The interference in this case was Larry Little, who may be the best guard in football. Good size, about 6'1", about 260 pounds. Harmon just came in and wiped him out, hit him around his knees, and took out the blocker.
Second down, 5 call. A handoff to Morris. He tries to spin to the outside and is cut down by Bill Wise on the 26. Tried to inch to the 27-yard line. Mercury Morris, spinning and churning, gets up there in a hurry. The ball will be placed near the 27, where it becomes third down and about 3. Jim Mandich coming in at tight end for Mar Fleming for the Dolphins. Paul Warfield, by the way, is suited up, probably will not see action today unless absolutely necessary, according to the word of Coach Don Shula. Otto Stowe is wide to the left, Howard Twilley wide to the right, third down and 3 for Morrill. The Dolphins are in the eye. Here's Morrill and a handoff to Zonka. Zonka is hit short of the first down. He is brought down on the 29, tried to inch up there, but Philbin and Little got a hold of him and wouldn't let go. And so the Dolphins will have to punt it away as the Jet front 4 of Philbin, Little, Elliott, and Loomis stopped the running game of the Dolphins in this first series here in the third quarter.
And a good job by both linebackers also, Merle. Ralph Baker is in the middle along with Mike Taylor. Grantham and Atkinson out with injuries.
Back to kick is Larry Seipel. Going back deep for New York. Chris Parasopolis inside the New York 30. W.K. Hicks is up on the 40-yard line. Larry Seipel, who also is a tight end, but is used basically as a kicker, puts it in the air, drives it downfield, not too high. Fair catch by Parasopolis on the 30-yard line of New York, and that's where the Jets will take over. A 41-yard punt by Larry Seipel. A good first half of the air as Castor set up on the right side, and the running backs are Emerson Boozer and John Riggins. Namath takes the snap and hands off to Riggins. Riggins bangs into the middle and runs right into Fernandez. He was trying to move behind Dave Herman, but Nick Bonaconte joined Fernandez to stop the play after about a 2-yard gain. At the 32, it'll be 2nd and 8 for New York. This coming Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, the Jets will be in Detroit to play the Detroit Lions. Listen in at 11:35 for Don Crickey and Sam Deluca with their pregame shows. Thanksgiving Day. Bell to the left side. Coming out to the right is Don Maynard. The running backs are split wide. Castor, the tight end, is out on the right side. Namath calls it. John Schmidt over the ball. Namath, a pitch wide to McLean, who's in there for Boozer. McLean is hit on the 30 and doesn't go anywhere. Bill Stanfield and Mike Tolan making the tackle, so Clifford McLean loses a couple back to the 30, and it's third down and 10, and now Bob Matheson and Lloyd Mumford come in. Bob Heinz comes out, and Nick Bonaconte come out. Third down and 10 on the Jet 30-yard line.
Now, I would say that both clubs have tremendous respect for the opposition's running attacks, and it seems that both defensive units are concentrating on stopping the run.
Bell to the left side. Don Maynard wide to the right. Namath going back to throw on third down. Good rush by Miami. Throws to Riggins, who bobbles the ball in the 30, incomplete. Couldn't hold on. Riggins coming out of the backfield was covered by Doug Swift, and now the Jets will have to punt the football away as Steve O'Neill comes in to do the kicking for New York. Jake Scott and Dick Anderson will go back deep for the Dolphins. 80,010 looking on. The Dolphins have sold out every game at home and every game on the road this year. O'Neill will kick from inside his own 20. Anderson is on the 38 of Miami, and Jake Scott, the great punt return star from Georgia, back on the 30-yard line. The kick is away by O'Neill, drives it downfield. Jake Scott back, takes it on the 24 of Miami. Goes to the 30 and is knocked down on the 34 by Bill Zapalak and Hank Bajorklin. A kick of 46 yards and a short return to the 34-yard line by Jake Scott. Mercury Morris and Larry Zonka come in as the setbacks along with Earl Morrill at quarterback. Howard Twilley and Otto Stowe are the tight ends, and we have a timeout on the field. With the score, the Jets 17 and the Dolphins 14. for Miami as Merle calls it on his own 34. Morrill a handoff to Mercury Morris. Morris coming behind Kuchenberg, breaks one tackle and gets to the 39, where he is stopped by Ebersol and John Elliott. Norm Evans pulled along with Kuchenberg to lead the blocking. Morris picks up, well, they moved the ball so close to the 40, let's call it 6 yards, pick up on the play, and it's 2nd down and 4.
Well, I think that John Elliott is back 100%. He said that he was. He said the game before last was the first time all year that he felt 100%, and he's looked 100% healthy.
Stowe to the left side, Twilley to the right. Here's a handoff to Morris going the other way. Behind Little, hurdles the tackle at the 40, goes to the 45, is in midfield, and knocked out of bounds in Jet territory at the 47-yard line. Mercury Morris hurdled the tackler back somewhere around the 42 or so. Langer and Little had pulled to lead the blocking. Hicks and Thomas got him out of bounds, and Larry Little, the 6-year veteran at right guard at 265 pounds, tremendously quick. And some say that he is the best at that particular spot.
He's got that speed, and he gets outside fast. He must be wondering what's happening to him, because instead of knocking down defensive people, he's been getting knocked down. Those Jet safeties who are playing out there as they're going with 2 strong safeties today, as we mentioned many times, are coming up and throwing themselves at his legs. That's about the only thing you can do with a big, good, fast guard like that.
Mercury Morris, 13 on the last play. This time it's Zonka who is tripped up by Gus Holloman at the line of scrimmage, but falls forward for about 3 yards to the 44-yard line of New York to make it 2nd and 7. And Jim Mandich comes in, and Marv Fleming comes out at tight end. New York Jets football is produced by and through the facilities of WOR Radio in New York, the flagship station of the New York Jets radio network. 2nd and 7 on the 44 of the Jets. The Dolphins send Twilley to the right and Stowe to the left side. Morrill and the Dolphins trailing by 3. Morrill fakes, goes back to throw, and he throws for Twilley, incomplete. Twilley and Tannen collided on the 25 as Twilley cut back. It looked like he was expecting to come back for that ball, and that made it well thrown over his head when he did cut back.
He was covered well that time by Tannen. Tannen had good coverage. Pass was way overthrown, Merle.
Morrill is now 6 for 12 for 103 yards, 1 interception. 3rd down, 7 on the Jet 44. The Jets lead 17-14. Morrill hit Twilley for a 9-yard pass in the first quarter to put Miami ahead after the Dolphins had intercepted a Namath pass. Then Riggins capped an 80-yard drive, tying the score with a 1-yard plunge, 7-7 at the quarter. The Jets took the lead in the second quarter and still have it. Stowe to the left and Twilley right. Morrill backpedaling to throw. Throws for the tight end, Mandich on the 35, and he is out of bounds on the 31. Taken out by Early Thomas. First down for the Dolphins. Mandich, the tight end, who was set up on the right side, came back across to the opposite sideline to take the ball out of bounds on the 31, a 12-yard pickup at a first down. After Castor scored on a 27-yard Namath pass, Halfield kicked a 33-yard field goal, and the Jets led 17-7. But the Dolphins put one on the board with 40 seconds left in the first half. It's 17-14 here in the third period. 9 minutes to go. Wide receiver to each side. Here's Morrill faking to Morris. Goes back to throw. Pumps once. May have to run the ball. He does. Morrill at the 25. Morrill at the 20. 15, 10, 5. He is in. Touchdown. Earl Morrill runs it in. Early Thomas tried to nail him on the 1-yard line, but he couldn't do it. 31-yard run by Earl Morrill. So Earl Morrill proving that a 38-year-old quarterback can hike it 31 yards. He just did it.
Those defensive ends are supposed to rush to the outside, contain the quarterback. Jerry Philbin got caught to the inside. He was taking an inside rush, and Morrill took the opening. 31 yards of an opening.
Yepremian for the extra point, puts it through. With 8:55 to go in the third quarter, the Dolphins have taken a 21-17 lead over the Jets. There's a timeout on the field. Let's take a 60-second jet break for this announcement. Here's Garrow's kickoff. This one goes way back into the end zone, and there'll be no return on this one. So the Jets take over at their own 20. I believe that was McLean. It was McLean in place of Hicks, who was deep to Paratopoulos. McLean will stay in as a running back, along with John Riggins. And the Jets trail 21-17. And the crowd yelling, defense, defense, defense. Wide to the left, Eddie Bell. Wide to the right, Don Maynard. Bob Matheson is in with three of the linebackers. Namath calling signals on the 20. The Jets go set. Namath takes the snap, backpedals to throw. Has good protection, throws at the 18 to Riggins coming out of the backfield. Riggins up to the 30, but there's a flag on the play over the 37. Riggins gets to the 32-yard line. Bill Stanfield makes the tackle. So Riggins picked up 12 on that pass reception, but now we have to wait on the flag. Apparently the flag is against Miami, holding against Miami, and the Jets will take the gain instead of the 5-yard penalty. The Jets pick up an extra 7 yards on that defensive, on the returning down of the defensive holding penalty. It would have been a first down either way. 1st and 10 on the Jet 32. Jets trailing 21-17. They led at the half 17-14. Namath is now 8 out of 13 for 103 yards. Eddie Bell going to the left, Don Maynard going to the right. Castor, the tight end, is set on the right side. Running backs are split, Riggins and McLean. Here's Namath, a handoff to McLean, coming up the middle, sacked by Bonacani, the middle linebacker, but brought down on the 36. He got almost 4 yards on the play. Clifford McLean out of South Carolina State in his 3rd year with the Jets. 2nd down, 6 at the 36-yard line of New York.
Good trap block by Randy Rasmussen, but the play just took too long to develop. The pursuit from the other side was actually the downfall of the play. That's the fellow who made the tackle, coming from the other side behind the pulling guard.
Namath backpedaling to throw on 2nd down. Throws to Riggins coming out of the backfield at the 35. Is dragged down by Dick Anderson on the 36. A good tackle. No gain on the play. 3rd down, 6. John Riggins has caught 4 for 24 yards. As Namath has used that player to Riggins. The last time for 12. This time no gain.
Yeah, and also, Merle, what that does accomplish, aside from some very good yardage, as you mentioned, 12 yards on the previous play, it also forces those corner linebackers to loosen up some and try to help the wide people, or in many cases, they're responsible for the flare pass.
3rd down call coming up. Bell going to the left side. Wide to the right is Don Maynard. Here's a wide pitch to Riggins. Riggins is hit by Dick Anderson and brought down in the 36. No gain. 4th down coming. Doug Swift helped on the tackle. So it's 4th and 6, and Steve O'Neill comes in to punt for the Jets. Jake Scott goes deep with Dick Anderson for Miami. Riggins has now picked up 69 yards and 12 carries. O'Neill takes the snap, gets the kick away, goes down, and a flag goes down. He was hit on the punt. Scott takes it on the 20. Scott is brought down on the 21. And the Jets will hang on to the ball. John Eversole made the tackle. Curtis Johnson banged in to the punter, Steve O'Neill. It was a 44-yard kick by Steve. But the Jets on the penalty will keep the football. And that was one of those just barely, Stan.
Yeah, they're claiming, the Dolphins are claiming that he was blocked into the kicker. I think this is one reason why many coaches frown upon attempting to block the kick. They would rather gamble on setting up a return, sending those people downfield to form a wall and get the fellow who's receiving the kick behind that wall. Because so often when they do go to block the kick, they don't get the ball, but they do block the punter. And as the Jets have experienced now, a first down.
A 5-yard penalty takes the ball to the 41, but an automatic first down goes along with that penalty. Namath calling it. not too bad this time. The Jets go set. Namath takes the snap, gives off to Riggins. Riggins hits the right side, goes out across the 45 to the 46, almost the 47. Manny Fernandez makes the tackle on a gain of 6 yards by John Riggins, who has now surpassed his entire rushing total of last year. Coming in, Bob Hines. Coming out, Bob Matheson. Well, with Matheson, and they call it the 53 defense. That's the number he wears. With Hines, he wears 72. I wonder if they call it the 72 defense.
Like 1972.
Pretty good year for the Dolphins. Wide to the left, Eddie Bell. Wide to the right, Maynard. And McLean took off before the snap. And McLean is complaining to the officials that he cannot hear the call. Denherter made the tackle. Dolphins lead it 21-17. The Jets will get hit with a 5-yard penalty for illegal procedure on that one. McLean is still complaining to Norm Schachter that he cannot hear the signals as barked by Namath. Ball is taken back to the Jet 42. Second down 9 at 35 yards in penalties for the Jets now. Bob Matheson comes in. Bob Hines goes out. That puts up 3 of the front 4 and 4 linebackers for Miami. Dolphins 21, Jets 17, 5:51 to play in the third period. Eddie Bell going wide to the left, Don Maynard going to the right. Namath calls a play for New York. The Jets go set. Namath takes the snap, a pitch to Riggins, trying to get to the outside behind Sweet. He can't do it. Knocked out of bounds on the 39-yard line by Curtis Johnson for a loss. The Dolphins are certainly covering their flanks well. And the loss back to the 39 makes it third down and 12. As they lost 3 on the play, we'll pause briefly now for station identification. Your dial is Jet Set. Clifford McLean and John Riggins are the setbacks. Namath goes back to pass. He pumps once. Now he's going to go long for Don Maynard. Maynard makes the catch as he is out of bounds on the 20-yard line. Caught that ball over the shoulder as Tim Foley was covering. Maynard caught it on the 20 and went out of bounds immediately, and the Jets get 41 yards on that one.
He was falling out of bounds. I don't know how he managed to get both feet inside that marker, Merle, but he did it.
That's Don Maynard's first reception of the afternoon, and it's a big one because on a 3rd and 12, Namath hits Maynard for 41 and a first down of the Miami 20.
Dolphins have been in an odd man front almost the entire game, where one of the defensive tackles, well in this case Manny Fernandez, is right on John Schmidt, the center's nose, and of course the center is at a disadvantage because he's got to snap the football, which means that his initial movement does nothing to help him block that defensive man. He's got to deliver the ball and then...
At the 22, a 2-yard loss, 2nd and 12. Namath back to pass. Backpedaling, throwing to Riggins at the 25. Riggins at the 20. Riggins at the 15. Down the sideline to the 10, the 5, but he is out of bounds at the 5-yard line. Jake Scott got him out of bounds as he stepped across the sideline. Johnson and Anderson both had shots at him, couldn't contain the big guy, who picked up 17 yards at a 1st and goal of the Miami 5-yard line. Wayne Stewart comes in with Barkham. Bell and Maynard go out. Bob Hines is in. Bob Matheson is out for Miami, and the front 4 is back intact. Riggins has caught passes, 5 of them for 41 yards. John Schmidt out over the ball. McLean and Riggins are the setbacks. Barkham on the wing right. The ends are in tight. 1st and goal of the Miami 5. The Dolphins lead it 21-17. 4 minutes, 42 seconds to go in the third period. Namath hands off to McLean. McLean hit behind the line. Breaks the tackle. Gets to the 5. Dick Anderson made the stop finally. Manny Fernandez was also on the stop. Emerson Boozer is coming in along with Don Maynard. Clifford McLean goes out. Barkham goes out. Stewart goes out. Eddie Bell comes in. Nope, McLean's going to... Wait a minute. They got about 13 men on the field now. Don Maynard goes out. They better count heads. Riggins goes out. Bell goes out. And Namath finally says, hey, what's going on here? And calls a timeout.
5 yards in that situation could hurt, Merle. Of course, if they took more than the 25 seconds allotted to the offensive team to get that play off.
So the Jets call a timeout. A little bit of confusion on the substitutions there, and now Joe goes to the sideline to talk to head coach Weeb Eubank. The Jets of 84 yards rushing. Riggins has 72. Timeout on the field to score. The Dolphins 21, the Jets 17. The Jets have a second down and goal to go at the 5-yard line of Miami. Emerson Boozer and John Riggins will be the setbacks, and Sam, we noted that Riggins went to the bench to get a little oxygen.
He's had a tough day. That yardage has come hard.
Castor and Stewart are the tight ends. Barkham is on the wing right. The running backs are split, Boozer and Riggins. Namath on second and goal calls it from the 5. The Jets trailed 21-17 here in the third quarter. Namath a fake handoff, rolling out to the left, looking to the end zone, throwing, touchdown to Wayne Stewart, the tight end. Joe Namath on a rollout to the left, throws to Stewart for a touchdown. And you don't see Namath on many rollouts, but he completely outfoxed the Miami defense. And he had Stewart wide open as Joe marches the Jets 80 yards on 11 plays to put him back in front here in the third quarter.
Yeah, that play was in the game plan, and again, it shows the importance of this football game for the Jets because they don't, as you said, Merle, they don't let Joe Namath roll out too often.
Now the Jets are in front 23-21, and in for the extra point try is Bobby Hopfield. Bob Davis to hold. Here's the snap. The kick is on the way. It is good. And Bobby Hopfield has now tied his all-time scoring mark in the AFL. He had 81 with Denver a couple of seasons ago. And with 3:59 to go in the third quarter, it's the Jets with the timeout on the field. The Jets 24, the Dolphins 21. Bob Hopfield, downfield comes the football. And this one bounces. Matheson takes it on about the 13. He's to the 20, 25. He's tripped up and goes down to the 29. John Ebersol made the tackle for New York, and Bob Matheson brings it out just shy of the Miami 30.
I think this cool weather, Merle, has helped the Jets today. They're not losing any life, and the defense, as we said before, has done a remarkable job in containing the Dolphins' running attack. Coming into this game, the Jets were number 1 in total offense, Miami number 2. However, Miami was number 1 in rushing, 10th in passing. The Jets number 4 in rushing and 1st in passing.
Wide receiver to each side as the handoff comes to Morris. Morris is cut down on the 31, and he almost dropped that football again. Tackle made by Phil Wise coming up from the corner, and John Elliott. The gain of 2 and 2nd and 8. Mike Taylor is back in now for New York as the linebacker. Mike Taylor and Ralph Baker are the 2 linebackers that have played today. Jim Mandich replaces Mar Fleming, who limps off the field. So Mandich is in at tight end.
Merle, the difference between the Dolphins and the Jets, and the reason for the difference in records, is the fact that the Jets were 10th in the 13-team American Football Conference on defense, and Miami won across the board, rushing and passing, total defense.
Here's a handoff to Zonka. Zonka at the 35, 40, 45. Rolls his way to the midfield stripe. Early Thomas and Mike Taylor make the tackle. They'll spot the ball to the 49 of Miami. An 18-yard pickup and a first down for the Dolphins, and Jim Mandich is one of the key blockers on the play.
Merle, the Jets' tackling, I would say, has not been that good in the defensive secondary. The people in that secondary, the cornerbacks and safeties, going against Zonka, he's a big back, he is a tough back, but you still have to tackle him. You've got to put your arms around him. And I see these guys coming up, they're throwing their bodies with reckless abandon, but they're not using their arms. Frequently they hit Zonka and he just bounces off.
Here's Morris into the middle, into Jet territory at the 48. Stacked up by 7 or 8 green shirts. And let's see who gets off the bottom. And Elliott. A gain of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7. Morris has now picked up 45 yards and 14 carries. Zonka in 10 carries has gained 60 yards. Mar Fleming is back in at tight end, and Jim Mandich comes out for Miami.
Miami does well in the fourth quarter, Merle. I think it's a consensus of opinion in the National Football League that Shula probably works this team harder than any other team in football.
A minute, 30 seconds to go before we hit the fourth quarter. Morrill to throw, and he throws incomplete. Threw it too low for Howard Twilley on the 41-yard line. Threw the ball right into the ground. Steve Tannen was covering in the area. Now Mandich comes in and Fleming comes out. It's 3rd down and 7. And one thing we have noticed today, Sam, that's quite different from a year ago, I really haven't noticed any slipping on this turf of any consequence.
No, I haven't noticed it. Remember, last year was impossible. It really affected the ball game, and Larry Zonka has spoken out repeatedly since that time, complaining about the synthetic surface here.
Wide receivers to each side. Morrill calls it with a running back split. Morrill backpedaling to throw. He is throwing, and a great catch by Otto Stowe. A catch to the 35. He is down to the 32. Early Thomas making the tackle. A dandy by Otto Stowe for 16 yards and a first down.
He was covered well. Early Thomas had good coverage on him. He went over the top trying to deflect the ball from Otto Stowe or shake it loose. Good play by Thomas. It was just a well-executed pass play. Nothing that could be done in that situation.
Twilley going to the right side. Wide to the left is Stowe. And the switch at tight ends again as Morrill on a handoff to Morris, trying to sweep wide to the left, is knocked down hard on the 35-yard line for a loss by Steve Tannen and Gus Holloman. W.K. Hicks was also over there. 2-yard loss in the play, and it's 2nd down and 12, just inside the Jet 35, and the Jets lead 24-21 with 27 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter as Mandich comes in and Fleming comes out. You know, even after they put down the new turf this year, after so many complaints for one last year, it still wasn't quite satisfactory. And then they came up with some kind of a dressing for this thing. And as Gus Holloman was saying before the ballgame today, he says it even feels a little sticky, but it feels good. Wide receiver to each side. Back to throw. Morrill throwing in a slant into Twilley. He just missed, making a sensational catch on the 16. Steve Tannen covering in the area as the gun sounds to end the 3rd quarter. So there's the end of the 3rd period and the score. The New York Jets 24, the Miami Dolphins 21. Now let's take a 60-second jet break for this announcement.
Asked him what the advantages of the 5 defensive backs are. He says, not really that much, just enables us to use our personnel that we have available.
Back to pass, Earl Morrill. Pumps once. Now he's going to go for the end zone for Otto Stowe. He is out there. It's incomplete. And he caught the ball. He would have been over the back line. Early Thomas was back, along with W.K. Hicks. And now Garo Yepremian will come in to try to tie the game with a field goal. On a 4th down and 12, his kick will be from about 42 yards out. His longest kick this year has been 54 yards, but he has had 3 long shots this year. Yepremian's long ones were 54, 51, and 47. All right, here's the snap from the 42. Yepremian puts it in the air. It is not good. It is off to the left. It is wide left. And the Jets take over on their own 20 and still hold the lead at 24-21 here in the 4th quarter as the offensive unit comes on. So Yepremian, who was tied for 3rd place in scoring going into the game today, has now hit 14 out of 24 field goal attempts. We have a timeout on the field to score. The Jets 24, the Dolphins 21. Namath barks a play, and he hands off to Riggins. He is hit behind the line, trying to break the tackle. Does break one, but then gets snowed under back near the 15. Bill Stanfill had him first. He spun him off. Then Bonacardi and Swift came up. And we'll see where they mark the ball for progress. Apparently around the 18, which would mean a loss of 2. Bob Matheson comes in. Bob Hines comes out for Miami. Emerson Boozer, who carried the ball only 4 times against the Dolphins in the game in New York because of an injury, has been able to carry only 7 times today, and has been used sparingly now because of an injury. The Jets have been able to get only 5 yards rushing here in the second half. 2nd and 12, the call of the 18 for New York. 13:57 to go in the game. A fake pitch wide, and McLean fumbles the pitch, and it's covered by Mangus. Down on the Jet 27-yard line. Namath fakes the pitch to Riggins. Gave instead to McLean, who fumbled the ball in the air straight ahead. And it was recovered by Dick Anderson on the 27-yard line of the Jets.
He's had his problems against Miami. In that first game at Chase Stadium, he dropped a couple of passes, Merle, earlier in the game. Then I believe he fumbled also in that ball game.
Morrill with wide receivers to each side. Calls the play, hands off to Zonka. Here comes Zonka at the 20, pulled down by John Little at the 19. Little looped and caught him from behind, and Baker came up to help out. Third down, 2. Less than 2, in fact. The ball is closer to the 18. Third down, about 1.5. Jim Mandich comes in, and Otto Stowe comes out. That'll give the Dolphins 2 tight ends. 12:20 remaining in the game. Miami down on the Jets, 18 after recovering the fumbles on the 27. The ends are tight. Twilly to the left on the wing out there. Here is Morrill faking to Zonka. Rolling. He is going for the first down and gets crunched by Little in the 15 with help from Baker. He moved the ball to the 15-yard line. First down for Miami. Otto Stowe comes in, and Jim Mandich comes out for Miami.
And again, Merle, he ran to Jerry Philbin's side. The defensive end has responsibility for containing the quarterback. The defensive tackles try to get depth to keep the quarterback from stepping up into the pocket, but the defensive ends must keep him inside, keep him in that pocket, contain him.
The ball is just inside the Jet 15. Wide to the left goes Stowe, to the right is Howard Twilly. Morrill has Zonka and Mercury Morris as the setbacks. Here's a handoff to Morris. Morris trying to go to the outside, gets to a 15 to 10, spins 5, and he is going in for the touchdown. Mercury Morris banging in for the touchdown to the Dolphins from 14 yards out. Great blocking by Doug Griese and the left tackle. And the shifty Mercury Morris puts the Dolphins back into the lead in this seesaw game.
Well, now you know why Don Shore replaced Jim Kick with Mercury Morris. Tough runner. Gives him that outside speed. And he's also a pretty tough guy up the middle, and he fights for the extra yardage. And you got to admire Shula for making a change like that after his offense was successful last year, getting him into the Super Bowl. He's made some other changes on that team also.
Here's your Permian's extra point try. It's good. With 11 minutes, 11 seconds to play in the game, the Dolphins have taken a 28-24 lead over the Jets. And so with a timeout on the field, let's take a 60-second Jet break for this announcement. Mercury Morris has scored his second touchdown of the afternoon and his 11th of the year. Emerson Boozer still leads non-kicking scorers with 13 touchdowns.
Well, we mentioned some other changes by the Dolphins. Howard Twilly is again starting. Here's the kickoff. We'll get to that later.
But Bjorklund on inside the end zone, 1 yard deep, brings it out to the 15, the 20, and is cut down on the 25. So the Jets, and a flag is down after the play is over. Charlie Lee made the tackle. After it was all over, the flag was thrown. Clipping penalty, New York. Well, it shouldn't have happened after the play was over. It was just a late flag was all. Yeah. Half the distance takes the ball back to the 12.
No, we mentioned some other changes that the Dolphins made this year. Howard Twilly returned as a starter. He had lost his job for a while. And Jim Langer took over at center, which was another change which has helped that offensive team. Also some defensive changes. They brought in Jim Dunaway to help against the run. He did help before being injured. And, of course, Vern Denherter has turned into a fine defensive end for the Dolphins.
The Jets are ready to go from just outside their own 12. Boozer is down as a setback along with Riggins. The Jets go set. Namath calls it. Namath, handoff to Riggins. He was hit by Stanford. No gain. He might have lost the yard. Vern Denherter joined Bill Stanford to knock Riggins off his feet at the 11. It'll be second down, 11.
It looked like there might have been a mix-up on that. Namath was stretching to make the handoff, and Boozer had broken to the outside. It looked like the play was designed to go to the outside. For some reason, Riggins broke it back over the middle.
Eddie Bell coming wide to the left. Don Maynard going to the right. Boozer lines up behind Riggins in the eye. Namath calls the play. The Jets go set. Namath the draw to Boozer. Boozer up the middle to the 14 for 3 yards. Bob Matheson making the tackle. As the Jets stay on the ground here in the fourth quarter. 10 minutes, 5 seconds left to play in the game. And the Jets trail the Dolphins by 4. It is now third down, about 8. 4 yards. Boozer has picked up 13 yards and 8 carries.
Tough yardage. Tough yardage for Riggins also. Miami's defense is tough. No name or not.
Eddie Bell to the left side. Don Maynard to the right side. Third down call for the Jets. John Schmidt over the ball. Namath barks to play. Namath backpedals to throw. He looks and he throws. For Boozer. It's incomplete in the 37. Had the ball, but Johnson shook it loose. And the Jets will have to punt it away. Namath now 12 out of 18, 166 yards, 2 interceptions. Dick Anderson goes deep with Jake Scott. Steve O'Neill will be punting from inside his own 5.
Namath is adjusted to the zone defense. He's been throwing to his setbacks on the flare pass, sometimes deep on that last play, as on that last play. Everybody knows Miami uses that zone defense, tying up his wide receivers.
O'Neill drives the kick downfield. Jake Scott of the 41 of Miami takes it. Scott to midfield. Scott to the 45. Gets to the Jet 44. Where he is tackled by Hank Bajorklin. 44-yard punt and a 21-yard return. And there's a timeout of the field. The score, the Miami Dolphins 28, the New York Jets 44. There's a tight end to the left side. Wide to the right, Howard Twilley is a flanker. Earl Morrill calls it on the 44-yard line. Morrill, a handoff to Mercury Morris. No hold for Morris, but he tries to get as much as he can, and that's a couple. Near the 42, he is stopped by Mike Taylor, the rookie linebacker from Michigan.
Merle, speaking of Dolphin wins, last week's victory was number 100 for Don Shula, and no coach in the NFL has ever achieved that figure in just 10 years. Shula has been a head coach for 10 years, and he's got 100 wins, which is quite an achievement. 10 a year.
Not too bad. Stowe to the left and Twilley right. Both men are out wide. Second down, almost 9. Here is a handoff to Mercury Morris. Morris hurdling, coming back to the right side, breaking a tackle, going to the 40, going down to the 37. Larry Little leading the blocking. Gus Holloman could not contain him. Ebersol helped down to the tackle.
Good block by Marv Fleming. Marv Fleming, of course, is the tight end for the Dolphins. Not a great receiver, but a good blocker, and he fits in well with this Miami Dolphin offense. Good block on Jerry Philbin. Came down and just wiped Philbin out.
Third down 3 on the 36 of New York. Morris has now carried 18 times for 64 yards. Stowe going to the left and Twilley right on the third down call for Earl Morrill. The Dolphins lead it by 4, 28-24. Morrill fumbles the ball, goes back to cover it, and I believe he did on the 42-yard line.
I think Philbin's got it.
The Jets did shake it loose. Jerry Philbin was battling for the ball. Before the whistle could blow, Philbin had shaken the ball loose from Morrill.
Morrill still was struggling for that ball, Merle. He was looking up at the official. He knew the play was over and still trying to get that away from Jerry. He hasn't been playing that well, Merle. Since that Baltimore game, I don't think it's really been the Joe Namath of old.
But Bjorklund and Riggins are now the setbacks. Namath on the draw to Riggins. Riggins at the 45. Riggins bullying his way to the 48, where he is brought down by Fern Denherter, the defensive left end. On the 48-yard line of New York. And the gain will be about 7. Second and 3 for the Jets.
That's one of the longer gains of the day up the middle that Riggins has achieved.
Riggins now has 77 yards and 17 carries. Eddie Bell to the left, Don Maynard to the right. Namath calls the play on the Jet 48-yard line. The clock at 6 minutes, 35 seconds and running. Namath going back to pass. Throws incomplete. Intended for Riggins. On the flare, Duck Swift, the linebacker, coming from the left side, leaped high in the air. Namath tried to throw it over his head, couldn't do it. Third down and about 3.5. We'll pause briefly for station identification. Your dial is Jet Set. Jets 28-24. Namath calling signals on a third down play and a big one for the Jets, who go set now. Namath going back to pass, and he looks and he throws for Maynard. It's incomplete. Skips off the ground at the 37-yard line. Dick Anderson out there on coverage, and the Jets will have to punt it away. Namath is now 12 out of 20 for 166 yards. That has been intercepted twice.
That pass was underthrown. It's a poorly thrown pass.
Steve O'Neill is back to punt. Scott and Anderson are deep for Miami. 6:20 remaining in the game. The Jets led at halftime 17-14. Their biggest lead was 17-7. John Schmidt snaps the ball. O'Neill puts it in the air, hangs it up high. The Jets go down on coverage, and at the 10, it's grabbed by Scott. Scott at the 15 is pulled down at about the 16. Bill Wise on the coverage with John Ebersol. And a 42-yard punt by Steve O'Neill.
Well, that's a tough assignment for the offensive center on the punting team and also on the place-kicking team. He's got his head down, which means that he doesn't have an opportunity to really see the man over him. As he snaps the ball back to the punter, he gets belted. And, of course, the Jets had a bad snap last week. It wasn't John Schmidt, it was Bill Zapalak. And Schmidt was somewhat concerned that the Dolphins might have seen the bad snap, knowing that Paul Crane is out. Paul Crane had been the snapper and begun to work him over. Frequently, teams will do that, put 2 or 3 men over the offensive center to take advantage of the fact that his head is down.
Here's a handoff to Larry Zonka. He pulls his way to the 22. Mike Taylor and Ralph Baker converge to make the tackle. They put the ball on the 21, which means a 5-yard pickup, and it'll be second down and 5, and the clock now is at 5:27. Stay tuned after the ball game for Sam Deluca's locker room show. The players and coaches on today's game. Zonka, 74 yards, 14 carries. Here's a slot to the left. Twilley is wide. Otto Stowe in the slot. Second down call for Earl Morrill, who hands off to Zonka. No hole, comes back into the middle and gets maybe a yard to the 23. He started to go wide. Something happened there. He decided to come back up the middle. Ralph Baker covered him quickly along with Jerry Philbin.
Zonka does run lower to the ground than John Riggins. There were several articles during the week about the difference between the two runners. And Riggins is a high stepper. In other words, he's got his head up. He's looking for openings. He'll try to outrun people. He'll use that arm, but he rarely lowers the shoulder and tries to overpower people and pick up 3 or 4 yards underneath the defenders. This is what Zonka does.
The most important third down play for the defense, and the Jets, I believe, jumped offside. Here's a handoff to Morris. Morris going wide at the 35, or rather at the 25, upfield to the 30 and out of bounds. On the 33, Mike Taylor making the tackle. Let's see if the Jets were pulled offside, however. John Elliott was injured on the play. Let's see what the flags are about. Either offside against New York or illegal procedure against Miami. And John Elliott was holding the left knee. Offside, New York, penalty declined, first down, Miami. And the Dolphins have the ball on the Miami 33, and now we'll wait to see about John Elliott.
Gosh, and I just mentioned a short time ago that Elliott told me it was only a few weeks ago, I believe 2 weeks to be exact, that he had fully recovered from that knee operation he had last year. And there's some excitement with somebody steal a policeman's cap, Merle?
I don't know, but I hate to be the guy. Zonka has now picked up 76 yards and 15 carries. Morris 74 yards and 19 carries. And the Miami ground game is just about on schedule. John Elliott limping off the field. Bill Wise comes in. Baker has been to the sideline. John Little is in with Lomas. And the front four right now, from the right to left. Lomas, Gallagher at right tackle in place of Elliott. Little at left tackle, filled in at left end. The Dolphins with a first down of their own 33 and 4:18 remaining in the game. Wide receivers to each side. Ebersol is down as the linebacker. Morrill a handoff to Mercury Morris. Philbin grabs him, but he breaks that tackle, crossing the 35, goes to the 37, and is chopped down. Baker and Ebersol made the tackle. I wonder if Mercury Morris, he's running like that uniform. Well, what are they? John Wyatt, the old relief pitcher in baseball, used to carry a Vaseline jar around just to needle people. They always said he threw a grease ball, and that, I think Mercury Morris must have some of that substance on his uniform, the way he has squirmed today and broken tackles. A gain of 4, second and 6, 3:40 remaining in the game. Morris to the left and one running back, Zonka. Here's a pitch to Zonka. Zonka behind Kuchenberg is cut down on the 39, but there's a flag on the play at the 37-yard line. Early Thomas on the tackle.
What was that baseball player's name?
Johnny Wyatt.
Johnny Wyatt. All right.
Holding against Miami will cost them 15. Yeah, he took so much heat about using a Vaseline ball that he used to carry a jar around, have it in the locker room on display.
You're pretty old, aren't you, Merle?
That was only a couple of years ago.
All right.
They're still talking about the last penalty call. Marlon Briscoe is coming into the lineup for the first time today, and Otto Stowe comes out. Now, Sam, you were talking about backs who could throw. Here's a wide receiver that can throw. Marlon Briscoe used to be a quarterback at Denver.
Because he came from Buffalo, and many people expected him to start for the Dolphins, but with Paul Warfield and Howard Twilley, who is an excellent receiver, doesn't have the speed that Briscoe has, but he has the moves, and he holds on to the football, and he blocks.
The Jets take the penalty, and it's second down and 21. Wide receivers to each side for Miami. Earl Morrill gives off to Mercury Morris. Morris trying to break a tackle, does at the 25, the 30, 35, knocked out of bounds in the 36 by Phil Wise. Ralph Baker had hands on him, but he just simply couldn't hold him. 15 yards for Mercury Morris. They marked the ball at the 37. So Morris, on a 13-yard pickup, now has 93 yards. At the 37, it is third down, about 6.5, and the clock shows 3 minutes and 21 seconds remaining in the game. Marlon Briscoe goes wide to the left, and Howard Twilley is wide to the right. Briscoe, by the way, has thrown 2 passes this year and completed both of them. Morrill with Zonka close in the eye and Morris right behind him. Here's a handoff to Zonka. Zonka across the 40 is close to the first down and may have it. Gus Holloman making the tackle. Gus Holloman stopped the play, and we have it under injured Jet. Gus Holloman shaken up. They line the ball up. They're going to bring the sticks down. 82 yards for Zonka on the ground. Any part of the ball is a first down and a critical call. Oh, what a critical call. Looks like it's short by 1.5 inches, and it's a fourth down coming for the Dolphins. 3 minutes, 11 seconds, and the punting unit comes in. Gus Holloman, the Jets have been bumped and bumped hard today. Weeb Eubank, the head coach, on the field. It's been a rough ball game. Gus Holloman being taken off the field. Seifel is deep. If he does kick, and we assume he will, and he will now, he kicks from the 32. Puts it high in the air. Flag goes down. Seifel got hit on the kick. The Dolphins will keep the ball. Ed Gallagher and Joey Jackson tried to block the punt, but nailed Seifel instead. Larry Ball went down the field to make the tackle on Ferrisopoulos. And now the Dolphins will keep the football, and Seifel comes limping off. If that's for real, and I assume it is, he didn't have to create an act on that one. So the Dolphins, ball to the 48, first down.
5-yard penalty for running into the kick.
2 minutes, 47 seconds remaining in the game.
First down.
So the Jet defense is out there again. Now the clock is in Miami's favor. The Dolphins break the huddle. Morris and Zonker the setback. Stowe to the left. He's back in there for Briscoe. Wide to the right, Howard Twilley. Morrill takes the snap, hands off to Mercury Morris. Morris coming to the right side of the sweep at midfield, down to the 45, going to the 40. Is knocked out of bounds on the Jet 32-yard line by Chris Ferrisopoulos. Morris really turning it on this afternoon. A 20-yard gain, running behind the pulling guard Larry Little and the blocking of tight end Marv Fleming. And Morris rolls over the 100 mark in rushing today with 113 yards. 2 minutes, 38 seconds left. The clock stopped as he went out of bounds. At the 32-yard line of the Jets, first down Miami. So the Dolphins, if they can hold on to this ball now and the lead, will have won their 10th consecutive game this year, the 11th consecutive win in regular season play over two seasons. Slot to the left. Here's a handoff to Zonka. Zonka, tagged behind the line, is pulled down by Ed Gallagher, who got him with a shirt, a fumble. The Jets recovered, but I believe the whistle had blown the ball dead. The Jets are claiming our ball. The officials say nope. Zonka pulled down back of the 40-yard line. Clock running, showing 2:20. The loss to the 40, almost 8 yards. Second down, 18. Now the clock down to 2 minutes and 9 seconds. And we'll have the timeout for the 2-minute warning very shortly. And the clock now shows exactly 2 minutes. There's a timeout on the field to score. The Miami Dolphins 28 and the New York Jets 24.
20, Denver 13.
2 minutes left to go in the ball game in Miami, and the Dolphins lead it 28-24. The Dolphins have outrushed the Jets 223 yards to 92 unofficially this afternoon. The Jets had contained the Dolphin running game fairly well in the first half, but Mercury Morris has opened things up with his outside sweeps here in the second half. Morris now has 113 yards and 22 carries. And the other thing that this running game has enabled Miami to do is work the clock. All right, 2 minutes to play. Out come the Dolphins. Jim Langer is over the ball. Twilley coming far to the right. Otto Stowe goes into the slot to the right. Earl Morrill barks the play, and he gives off to Mercury Morris. He's hit behind the line, breaks a tackle, breaks another one, back to the 45. He's at the 40 and dumped hard on the 44-yard line for another loss. Ralph Baker making the tackle. 2 straight losses. Ed Gallagher helped out. The Jets called time to stop the clock. The Dolphins will have a third down. And let's add it up. About 22. Third down, 22 on the Jet 44. New England is leading Buffalo 21-17 in the fourth quarter. Dallas over Philadelphia 28-7 in the fourth. Pittsburgh is leading...
Dallas 28.
And we're getting finals now coming in.
Baltimore 20, Cincinnati 19.
Baltimore beat Cincinnati coming from behind, 20-19.
And Cleveland 26.
Pittsburgh is ahead of Cleveland, 24-23. We're getting an update. Cleveland 26, Pittsburgh 24. That's the final. At halftime, San Francisco 14 and the Bears nothing. Green Bay and Houston are 7-7 at the half, and San Diego leads Kansas City 24-7 at the half. What in the world has happened to the Kansas City Chiefs? Oakland leads Denver 20-13 at halftime. A minute 47 to play. Third down, 22 for the Dolphins on the Jet 44. Twilley going wide to the left and Stowe in the slot left. Morrow calls it. Morrow gives off to Zonk, an inside handoff, and he is chopped down to the 45. Jerry Philbin on the tackle, and the Jets again call timeout to stop the clock. Fourth down coming for the Dolphins.
Loss of a yard on the play.
Dick Anderson will now do the punting with Larry Seifel out of action, being hit on that last punt. Anderson's a pretty good kicker. He did that job for the University of Colorado. A minute 40 remaining in the game. Parasavalis goes back into the end zone. So we have the Jets being charged with a timeout. Now Anderson drops back to the Miami 40. Jim Langer is over the ball. Here's the snap. Anderson gets it away. Drives it downfield. Parasavalis, fair catch. Bobbles it all to the 10. Gets hit. And has the ball down the 9-yard line.
Anderson's punt taken by
Jim Mendich made the tackle. 35-yard punt. Clock running a minute 25 seconds. The Jets on the 9-yard line. Namath back to pass. Into the end zone he goes. Namath throwing to Riggins on the 10. Riggins trying to get to the sideline is knocked down on the 14. Dick Anderson making the tackle with Doug Swift helping out. The clock showing a minute 10 seconds left.
pass taken by Riggins.
The ball on the 14-yard line.
5 yards. Swift and Anderson.
The Jets use no huddle, come right up to the line of scrimmage. 58 seconds remaining. Riggins on his 6th reception has 46 yards in the air. Namath backpedaling to throw. He throws to Riggins, who drops the ball on the 11. That stops the clock. Anderson was covering him. I doubt if he would have gained much yardage because Anderson was right there. Rich Castor has replaced, or rather Jerome Barkham has replaced Don Maynard. Nick Bontaconti is coming to the sideline. Namath, 13 out of 22, 171 yards. 46 seconds remain in the game. Third down, 5 at the 14 for New York. Eddie Bell going to the left. Jerome Barkham to the right, and Rich Castor in the slot right. Bjorklund and Riggins are the setback. Here's a draw to Riggins. Riggins up the middle of the 20. Riggins gets out to the 24. First down, New York. Mike Colin stops the play. 37 seconds show on the clock. The Jets using no huddle. Clock still running. They're down to 30 seconds in the game. Now it's 27 seconds. Now we're down to 25 seconds. First down, New York. Namath goes back to pass. Looks to the side and throws to Riggins. Riggins at the 25. Riggins trying to get to the sideline. Can't do it. Dick Anderson makes the tackle on the 27. And the clock shows 10 seconds, and it's going to be all over. The crowd counts it off. The Jets don't have any timeouts left. At the 27, and the crowd signals no time left. Counting it off, and the Dolphins sweep the series from the Jets this year. There's the end of the ball game, and the final score. The Miami Dolphins 28, the New York Jets 24. Football game today, which the Miami Dolphins won 28-24, and now have won their second straight East Division championship of the American Football Conference. The Dolphins have won 10 straight, the only undefeated team in the NFL at the present time.